Good morning, guys. One more time. Let's continue further. Let's see those topics which we were supposed to finish today. And that's it. Okay. Get me our certification. Okay, Utpal. Maybe you can put that question separately on WhatsApp. We'll answer it there. Okay. Lumash, how to take the data from CSV file in Matplotlib and how to perform a curve fitting those data. I think whatever we have seen yesterday, it will just still apply. Only differences. Instead of getting the hard-coded data in one of the arrays or one of the lists, whatever you can think of, you will get the data right inside something like a data frame, and from data frame you can copy the data and then you can put that directly inside your application, inside your Matplotlib. So nothing different as such. Whatever we have seen last time, it's going to be still remain same. There is no such difference. Okay. But if you really want to see a quick example of it, I'll show you that example. Let's see very quickly. This is something which we already have seen yesterday. So probably those who are willing to get the data from CSV and want to display the data in one of the charts, you will see how to do that. Okay. So Lomash, this is an answer to your question very quickly. Okay. Yes, Shripati, I already have that. I'll share that today without fail. Okay. Don't worry. Just give me a sec. Let me find out a file. Which one can I go for? You'll have to look for one rather. Where can I find all of them? Not this one. Not this one, Matplot. Where can you find all of this? Yeah. I know. We already have started. Don't worry. Okay. It's just telling me that we have to start using the lecture. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. So what I was looking for is the file. I think last time we were using that salary data file, right? So I can get it from there. Instead, I can get it from the ML. I'm just looking for the files. Where did I keep them? Oh, here it is. I found it. Data set. Let's use a simplest one. ES data, the salary data, the one which we used last time for a reading purpose. So I'm going to share that on your chat somewhere. So probably you can get it from there and you can start writing the code along with me. Okay. So there we are. Let me add it here. Salary data, and there it is. So we have two columns here. One is years of experience, the other one is the salary. Okay. So if I want to get the data out of it, and probably if I want to simply draw maybe a line chart, let's see how it can be done. Line chart or scatter plot, whatever you can think of. To do this, probably we'll have to get that matplotlib imported. So to do this, I'm going to say import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. This is something we have seen yesterday. Right inside this, first we have to read the data. So I'll say df because this is going to be a df, and for this I'm going to need pandas as well. So this is going to be a pandas as pd. Okay, so you know how to read the data. Pandas or rather pd dot read csv. Right in the same directory, we are having a file called as a salary data.csv. This is the data we are looking for. Very quickly, I just want to see what exactly the name of columns we have received here. So probably I'll say df.columns. Let's see the column names because we have to use the column names in order to get the data there. This is years of experience and this is the salary. Okay. Now I want to start creating a chart. To create a chart, probably you have to pass x and y. For me, the x is nothing but years of experience and y is nothing but the salary column. So probably I can get that by saying plot plt rather dot plot df of what is that, years of experience. That is going to be my x-axis, comma y-axis is nothing but the salary. So this df of salary, this is going to give me the salary column, and first one is going to give me the years column, right? Next, you decide what all different things you want to put here. So if you want to change the color, maybe I can go for color like red, for example. You decide which one you want to go for, or maybe green because it's a salary, maybe if you want to put a label, not lambda, so label which is going to be something like a salary, for example. Whatever you decide what you want to put there. If you want, you can add the points as well, the dots as well, by using a scatter plot. Remains same, there is no change. And then we have to add labels. So probably you can say plt dot x label, which is going to be on x-axis we are showing the years of experience. So I'll say years of experience plt dot y label. Here we can say the salary. So this is where we are going to show the salary. and plt.label, or sorry, title. This is going to be the main title of our chart. This is going to be, let's say, employee experience versus salary. So we can look at the employee salary versus the experience, and we can get some idea out of it. So maybe I can say plt.show, and hopefully when I say run, you will see a nice chart here. This chart is going to tell you the employee data from the years of experience and the salary. And looking at this, anyone can say that as the person's experience increases, the salary also increases. See, this is the very simple example we are looking at. Seems like the salary is cutting out. There is some space here. I think we already have seen that. There is a method we can take care of it by saying tight layout. So when I say tight layout, everything will fit in this particular part. And yeah, that looks fantastic. So whatever you want to do with it, it has to be exactly same. The only difference is how you are loading the data. You are loading the data either by hard coded values like what we did yesterday, or we can go for one of the files like this. Now the file will decide what columns you want to use, and the columns will decide what type of chart you want to draw. So basically, whatever we discussed yesterday will remain same. It's the only data reading facility or data source is going to change. Instead of hard coding the data, we can read the data from CSV file. Lomash, I think this is the answer to your question. I hope you must have got an idea about how to get the data from CSV file and use that data for drawing different charts using matplotlib. Okay, so this is something I guess I mentioned yesterday, but it's okay. Maybe you can do it in future. How to perform a curve fitting. Now for curve fitting and other things, you have to have a data like this. Okay, so right now, whatever data we are having, it's not exactly curve, or it's not exactly giving me a kind of proper shape here because of the data. So unless you have the proper data, you will not be able to fit, or you will not be able to do that curve fitting here. Okay, more or less, if you want to do it something like this, then there are a few more algorithms we have to first implement in order to go for maybe something like a data wrangling algorithms that will make your data available for maybe curve fitting. Rather, this is one of the stages of ETL, or this is one of the stages of data processing. So probably this will be there in machine learning. So if you want to go for it, you will understand how to convert the data, how to modify the data, or how to wrangle the data in order to perform the curve fitting option there. Okay, so at least this will give an idea about how to get the data and how to put the data inside a very simple example. Okay, why it is important to use legend right now? It doesn't matter because we are having only one option, or we are having only one data there. But if you are having multiple, then legend will make sense, because unless you have a legend, you will not get an idea which line or which color is representing what, so better to go for a label when you are having multiple options. Like here we are having salary, so doesn't matter, it's just a salary we are looking at. But imagine that we are having a salary, expense, and a bunch of other things in one single graph. Then to understand what exactly the color is representing or the line is representing, it should have a legend. Okay, okay. I think we don't need to put that salary twice, and it's coming twice just because I accidentally added the salary here as a label, so it's not required. Maybe I can change the color for the dots as red, so at least we can see different things. Dotted lines, or other, there are dots which are red colors, and they are kind of joined by using line which is in green right now. Okay, so that's it. This is the way we can get the data from CSV file, and we can put the data in a matplotlib. Okay. Okay, now let us continue further and look at the next requirement, the next part. This is something called as Selenium, and this is something which can be done by using a package called as Selenium. I mean, Selenium testing or Selenium web scraping. We'll see an example of it, how to do that data or web scraping, and how to gather the data from different websites. So this is what we are going to look for. So let us see how it can be done. Now imagine that you are having a data. Let me open a browser, and let's see one of the data sets there. So probably I want to see current Pune temperature. So if I want to go for a temperature, which one should I go for? Maybe I can see that right here. So current Pune temperature is like 24. Now imagine I want to develop an application for predicting the temperature, let's say after a week. So I want to predict a temperature of a particular city for a particular duration. So how do I do that? Now to do this, probably this can be done by using machine learning algorithms. I mean, we are not going to that details right now, but when we are doing it, probably you can understand that when the data is available, you can process the data, and you can do some kind of predictions on top of it. This is called as regression analysis in case of machine learning. We are not going in the machine learning case right now, but what I'm trying to show you here is an example where we have the data, but this data, I cannot use it directly in my application. Now, why I cannot use this data directly in my application? Because the data is not available in the proper format. Right now, the data is available in the HTML, and unfortunately, I cannot use the data probably inside my application, because if I want to use the data by using, let's say, PD file or maybe something like a pandas, then I'll have to put that in a CSV format, which is not possible at this point because the data is not available inside a proper format. The data is available for display. Maybe this is for end user, it's okay. But for us being a developer, I certainly cannot use this data anywhere. So that's the reason I want to process this data, get the data out of this web page, put the data or convert that data into a proper format. We'll put that in a CSV file, and whoever wants the data will pass it on, and then we can use the data wherever it's required. So this is exactly what we are going to do with the help of something called as a web scraping. Now, not only this, there are many different things a web scraping tool can do, but this is an example where we can get some data from some websites, and probably that will help us to understand how to convert a non-readable data or non-formatted data into formatted data, and then make use of it in our application. So probably today we'll just gather the data. Maybe later on, whenever you are learning machine learning, then there you can literally go back and start using the data for some of the other purpose. So how do we do that? To do this, we are going to use two packages. One of them is called as a Beautiful Soup. So Beautiful Soup is the package with which we can easily understand the HTML structure, and that HTML structure we can use for maybe grabbing the information inside it. Now, again, you don't have to be an expert here in HTML, but at least some knowledge is required for understanding the Beautiful Soup's implementation. So imagine we are having some data. Let me just go back here and say I have a simple file here, or maybe I can create a separate page here that is going to be page 2. And right here, let's imagine that we have some HTML data. So probably def1, that's function 1. And right inside this function, let's say I have some HTML data. Now I'm going to use triple double quote because I want to go for multi-line. So let's understand that from this point, there is a HTML tag. Generally, we write the code like this, HTML/HTML. And within this, I'm not worried about the head part of it. I'm just worried about the body part, because the body is the one which is going to give me the actual data, and the data is written in this part. Let's say this is div/div, and say this is going to be temperature for day. Say this is going to be having an ID. ID is equals to, let's say, day 1, and this is where we are having some information about the temperature. Let's say degree temperature is 30, for example. So probably I have the second day's degree, third day's degree temperature, and probably this is how we can get the data in a simple HTML format. So I want to get the data out of that HTML into something which is understandable or which can be used in our application. So this is what our job is now. So how do we do this? I mean, if the data is in the HTML, I can simply use this HTML, and I can get the browser to display the data in particular format. Let's say div, in a sense, it will just display the 30, 40, 50 or 30, 40, 35, 37 in a particular vertical format. So I want to grab the data out of it and then want to get only the numbers out of the HTML. If we can do this, we can easily get the HTML data from somewhere, maybe some website, and then we can start using the data there. Okay, so let's see how it can be done. To do this, we have to use a Beautiful Soup. Let me go back here and say Beautiful Soup. So this is the package we are going to use. Beautiful Soup 4.py. This is where you can find the documentation of it. And you see the command, it's a Beautiful Soup 4. So this is the one we are going to use. So probably I'm just going to copy this. Again, if you already have, I don't know whether you have installed it or not. I certainly know that you haven't, but if it is already installed, then you don't have to worry about it. But if it is not, then get it installed. So I'm going to say sudo install this. Probably it has not copied properly. Let me just copy this here. Or maybe it's better we can just copy it here. It's pip3 install and Beautiful Soup 4. Again, I hope on my machine it's already installed. Yes, it's already installed. So I don't have to worry about it. For you, just get it installed. I'm going to put this command right here on your chat. It'll be better for you to just get it installed. So if you're on Windows, again, as usual, do not use sudo. Okay, so now we have that beautiful soup library installed on our machine. We have the HTML here. The HTML right now is hard coded. I mean, it's not like we are going to get the data like this hard coded in any string, but we will get the data from any website. Now, how do I get the data from website? I'll show you that in a minute. But before that, let us see how to pass this data, how to convert this data into readable format or usable format. To do this, first of all, we have to go back here and say import. So import, or rather from BS4. BS4 is a package. We are going to import something called as a beautiful soup. Beautiful soup is the class we are going to use, and the BS4 is the package name. So BS4 or beautiful soup is going to give me a kind of a parser. A parser is the one which can understand the meaning of your structure. So probably if you have a JSON parser, if you have heard about JSON, I guess I mentioned that earlier. So when we are having a JSON parser, it is going to understand the JSON information, or it's going to understand the JSON implementation. But when we are talking about something like a HTML, parsing HTML is literally a nightmare. I mean, when I say nightmare, believe me and trust me, it's very difficult to understand, or it's very difficult to parse HTML. A package like Beautiful Soup has done this pretty much simply, just because it has a very good HTML parser built in, and that HTML parser will help us to get the data out of it. So how do we do this? To do this, first of all, we need to create an object of Beautiful Soup. So I'm going to say soup, which is equals to Beautiful Soup here. We have to say which object or which data I want to pass. So I'm going to pass a data like this HTML, the one which I stored there. Maybe where is your chat? I accidentally closed it. Here it is. Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? Okay. So probably I'm just looking for the chat here somewhere. Okay, anyways. So when we are talking about something like Beautiful Soup, we have to use something like the data, which is HTML, and we have to ask the Beautiful Soup to load the parser from the Beautiful Soup package. So how do we do this? I want to parse this HTML content. So Beautiful Soup has given something called as HTML.parser. So this HTML.parser is going to help me to get the data or to parse the data which is in the HTML format. So this is what I'm going to do. Probably I'll start with the simplest example before I talk about the div and other thing. Let's say there is a h1, and I'll say this is a header 1, as simple as that. We'll use the div and other things in a minute, but before that, let's see. This is the simplest example, and probably what I'm going to do here is, like, instead of writing this code again and again, it's better I'll just create it as a global variable, so I can use it across the different functions. So instead of writing this again and again, I'll just create it as a global variable. Fine. So now I want to load this HTML here. So first, let's say instantiate BS4. That's a Beautiful Soup. And then here we are going to get the data out of it. So actually instantiate BS and parse the HTML. When I say HTML, right now I'm using a variable HTML, which is having the actual content that I want to parse. Now, once you have that soup ready, you just want to find whatever you are looking for. First, I want to find out the value inside this h1. This h1 is nothing but an element. Maybe when you are in HTML, we call all of them as tags. So this is a tag basically in HTML. So what I'm going to do here is I want to find out a tag which is of type h1. So probably this is the h1, and I want to get the data inside that h1. So how do we do this? To do this, I'm going to say find an element or find a tag named h1 and get the contents within it. So how do we do this? Maybe I'm going to say I'm going to create a variable h1, which I'm going to ask soup to find it for me. So I'll say, hey soup, just find out h1 for me. Now, right now there is only one h1. That's the reason it is going to find only one instance of that h1, and that h1 I'm going to get it. And for now, I'll print that h1 as it is. Let me see what exactly I'm getting here. So probably if I call that function1 and run my code, it shows me that I found h1 tag, and this is what that h1 looks like. I mean, when you look at this example right now, this will not give any kind of any kind of importance or any kind of maybe difficulty here, because it's very simple example. But when we start sticking or stitching all those small pieces together, we'll get the entire program, and you will see how that program can get the data which is there on your website, any website like this for example, and we can pass that content and do something great. So we are going, I mean, we are heading towards it. This is the simplest program. I found one H1 here, and that H1 is giving me the information about this H1 here, information about the tag. That's the tag I just found. But I'm not interested in the entire tag. I'm interested only inside the content. And inside the content, in a sense, I'm looking for not the H1, entire H1, but I want to find out the content within it. The content within that H1 is this. This is a header. So this is what I want to print now. To get the content within it, I'm going to say, let's say content within H1 is equals to H1.text. So H1.text will give me the content within it. You see, content within the H1, I found that the content is, this is the header. That's how we can do it. As simple as that. I hope you can understand. This is the way we can do it. And probably, just simply put, I want to get the HTML content passed and get the data out of it. I hope you can understand. This is a very simple example of it. Now this example is telling you like how to find one element, because here H1 appears only once. But probably if you look at this one, there are multiple div elements, and those div elements are appearing, appearing multiple times. So this div, this div, this div, this div, all of them are representing some temperatures, So I want to get all those divs, and I want to print the temperature value one by one. So how do we do this? To do this, I'm again going to create a second function. I'm again going to read the same data, HTML data, but this time my requirement is a little bit different. This time I'm looking for the div elements. So how do we do this? Now to do this, first study the structure. Looking at the structure, I can see that H1 appeared only once, and that's the reason I used a function called as a find. The function find is giving me only one instance of that H1, which is kind of a unique in that case. Unique in a sense, this is the only H1 available in that structure. But studying the structure, it tells me that, hey, the div appears multiple times. So if I know that structure I'm looking for is going to have the element appearing multiple times, then we'll have to say soup dot not find, but find all. Find will give you only one instance. But if I'm looking for find all will give me all the instance of that tag. So probably this is going to be, I'll say div tags, or simply like divs is equals to this. So what are we doing here? Let's say find all occurrences of div. So whatever you can say, if it is div, you can get all the occurrences of div. Now this is an array. When I say array, you can run a for loop within it. So I can say for div in divs, and then I can get the data out of it. See, I'm going to get the data by saying print, let's say temperature within every single div will be like this, div.text. Remember last time I talked about getting a content within it. So if you want to get the content within it, this is the way we can do it. That's h1.text. So simply div.text. So run a for loop on that array, and probably we can get the information from those divs. And you see that now I'm getting only the temperature value. You see the temperature is 30. That's the first div's information. This is the second div's information, third div's information, and fourth div's information. So probably if you pay attention to this one, I'm trying to get all the occurrences of this div, and then I'm trying to get the temperature within it. So when I say this is the temperature I'm looking for, probably looking at this, if I open that in the browser, I'll see that as a HTML structure. But now, because I'm parsing the data, I'm converting, or maybe I'm reading the data in my format, I just got those numbers. Now what I want to do with that number, it's up to me. I can put that in a file. I can pass it to the array and maybe use it for matplotlib to draw a certain chart, and so on and so forth. So you decide what needs to be done there. Right now, the important stuff is you want to get the HTML parsed, and this is the way you can do it. I hope you can understand that. So this is the way we can find it out. Now, very quickly, I'm not looking for all the temperature data. I want to look for, or I want to get the data only for a specific temperature or specific day. Probably I'm representing every day, every div uniquely by assigning an ID. ID is nothing but the way we are identifying that tag uniquely. So let's say I'm not interested in all the temperatures. I'm interested only the day 3 temperature. So I'm looking for only 35 value. How do I do that? Structurally, I can get all the divs. I can say 0, 1, 2, and I can go to the second position and I can get the value 35. That is okay. That is not that's not trivial. It's like we just have to write the same piece of code, and instead of running a for loop, I can say divs of 2 or divs of 3, whatever. It will give me the value I'm looking for. But you know what, if I accidentally change the position of it, you will get the wrong data. If I use a position based data retrieval, then earlier I was getting 35 on this position, now I'm getting 40 at this position, which is absolutely wrong. So sometimes getting the data with the structure which is there inside HTML is okay, but more or less when we are looking at a specific data, a specific element, then it's not a good idea to go with the structure. So in which case we can especially ask Beautiful Soup to give me a data which is matching with certain criteria. So probably I'm going to say find the div with ID is equals to day 3. This is what I'm looking for. So probably I'm going to say this is the div, and what am I getting here is an object of that div, or maybe that div element which is having ID is equals to day 3. So again, I'm going to say find, not find all, find a div. Now if I say find a div, let's see what happens first. I'll say the temperature which is equals to div.text. Whatever I'm getting here, I'm just going to say put that div.text and see what am I getting out of this. Probably I'm getting the first div. 30 means I'm getting the first div here, which is absolutely wrong. Again, I'm not looking for 30. I'm looking for the temperature which is having the ID is equals to day 3. So how do I do this? Now to do this, instead of doing this, maybe you'll just go back here and pass a dictionary which is having the criteria you are looking for. So my criteria is ID is having a value day 3. So probably when I say run, you will see I'm getting a value temperature equals to 35 because I'm looking for a div having day 3 as an ID. So day 3 ID is giving me value 35. And it doesn't matter now. I mean, if it is there or if it is at the end, that really doesn't matter because we are not going for position based retrieval. We are going for ID based retrieval. So no matter where it is there in your entire page, you always will get exactly similar information. I hope you are getting the info, you are getting the concept here. This is called as a Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is used for getting the information or getting the data from HTML content. Now, what you are doing here is like you are trying to get the data, you are trying to pass the data. Beautiful Soup works very well. It's very famous and it's doing the job great. But there are a few limitations. I mean, limitation is like Beautiful Soup will not give you the data which is dynamically changing. So if it is static data like this, it can be used here. There is no problem. But when we are having a dynamic data, for example, when you open this page and if this page is completely dynamic, then Beautiful Soup cannot work there. So there we have to go for something called as a Selenium. Selenium is a multi-purpose package. With Selenium, we can do the web scraping. With Selenium, we can go for testing. With Selenium, we can do anything there. I mean, there are many different use cases where Selenium can be, Selenium shines. So basically, what I'm going to do right now is like, instead of using this, I'm going to go for a Selenium and see how we can use the Selenium and do the similar job. Okay, let's see how it can be done now. I'm going to go back here and create a new page. So this is going to be page 3. And right here, I want to start using a Selenium. But how do you use a Selenium? Selenium is package, which again you have to install. So search for Selenium, so maybe Selenium Python, and you will find how to install it. It's again, just the similar pip install or pip3 install Selenium. That's the same job. I mean, there is nothing different when you are installing package for using Python's pip command. Everything is going to be exactly similar. It's like same pip3 install something like a Selenium. So let us see how it can be done. So basically, we are going to use the Selenium for doing doing both the jobs. We are going to use it for web scraping. We are also going to use it for something like a testing purpose as well. So I'll show you both the examples one by one. So this is the Selenium. But to understand Selenium, we have to understand one more concept. See here. Now let us understand this from a little bit different perspective. Let's imagine, before we talk about a temperature example, let's imagine that we are having a requirement that I want to go to google.com, something like this, and I want to search for, let's say, iPhone 12. 12 is coming maybe in this month, or maybe in the next month maximum. So if I want to search for this, what I do generally is this. I mean, I open a browser like Chrome. So I say open this new tab. I'm sorry, open this new window, not a tab. Open this new window, and probably this new window will come here. Then I'll go to a URL, something like google.co.in. See the steps I'm performing here. So I perform the step like open the browser. I perform another step like go to this particular URL, google.co.in. Then I have to press enter. The moment I press enter, I see this is the google.com. This is google.com's main page. I click on that input where it is expecting a kind of, a search criteria, where I can enter the search criteria like iPhone 12. And then if I press enter, it is going to search that information for me. Then what I do with this, it's different thing. I mean, I can get the information, I can pass that information, I can put that information somewhere in my file, or maybe I can use it for some other purpose. That's a different story. But what I'm telling you here is like, whenever we are thinking about getting the data from internet, then we generally follow these steps. Step number one is we are opening a browser. Step number two is where we are going for a URL, and step number three, we are entering, or we are pressing the enter character in order to visit this URL, and whatever the URL shows me the output, I put that data. If required, I can put that data into a file. So this is generally what we do in order to perform a web operation, or maybe a surfing operation. So how do we do this then? So Akshata, this is what you are going to get an answer now. So how to get it from the external web page? That's the reason why I've switched from Beautiful Soup to Selenium. I said that whenever you are having a static data, Beautiful Soup works well. But when you are having a dynamic data like website, then Selenium is a kind of an option you can go for. Okay. So Akshata, look at this. Probably you will get an answer here. So what I'm looking for is again a new page. We already have started with that new page. Oh, by the way, I was talking about this concept here. So the concept here is, again, when we are opening a browser, or whenever we want to browse something, we open a browser. This is what my browser, which is going to give me the actual content I'm looking for. And this browser, I have to control myself in a sense. Being a human, I open this console. I open this browser, and then I go to URL manually. I type the URL and I press the enter. This is how we are controlling the browser. But when I do this, I mean, I need to be present there all the time. Now imagine that there are a bunch of different websites where I want to go and get the data. So being human, I will be kind of a little bit tired to go to every single website, capture the data, put that in a file. So I want to automate this process. Now, how do I automate this process, or how do I do this programmatically? This actually is called as this actually is called as something like a web scraping. So web scraping is nothing different. It's the same thing which I have just done, but not manually. It's like programmatically. So this is what I'm going to do now. How do I do this then? To do this, I'll have to replace that human with our program. So this is what my application, this is what my program now going to do. So this is going to be my application or program. So this program now will perform all the steps which I have performed manually. So what did I perform last time? I opened a browser. I went to that particular URL, let's say google.com. I enter the URL google.co.in. I pressed the enter. That's what I did. Now I want to do the same thing exactly by using a program. To do this, every browser, let's say if it is a Chrome browser, if it is a Firefox browser, it's a Safari browser, i.e. whatever it is you are using right now. So every browser comes with is something called as a web driver. This is called as the driver which is going to drive that particular browser. So whenever you want to interact with the browser, what do you need here? You need something called as a driver. This is called as a web driver. Unless you have the web driver here, you will not be able to use that browser, because a program cannot directly talk to the browser like this. The program instead will use the browser's driver, and the driver internally will perform all the operations that your program is looking for. So if a program wants to open a browser, program will send an instruction to the web driver saying, hey, just open the browser. So web driver goes ahead and it opens the program. It opens the browser. whenever program wants to visit a URL, let's say google.co.in, then probably program is going to instruct the web browser saying, hey, open this URL for me. Then WebDriver will open that URL inside the opened browser and it will continue from there. So that is how we are kind of looking for getting the automation done by using something like a WebDriver. Now, in this order, I mean, if you look at this one here, the browser, you decide which one you want to use. The WebDriver will be dependent on browser, which means if you are using Chrome, we'll have to use a Chrome's WebDriver. If you're using Firefox, then Firefox WebDriver. Safari, then Safari's WebDriver, so on and so forth. But in order to work with this WebDriver, we have to have some communication channel. That communication channel for us is the Python, which means this is the Python language we are using to design this program, to develop this program. And in Python, if I want to interact with that WebDriver, Selenium is the best option. And that's what we are going to do now. So using Selenium, see, this is my Python application, which is going to use Selenium, which will talk to the WebDriver, and the WebDriver will do all the different instructions which we want our program to do. So probably if I'm a human being, I can do it myself, but you know, I'm not getting that much of time to do all of this stuff on my own. That's the reason why we are kind of doing this automatically, or why we want to do this by using something like a Selenium package. Okay, so Selenium is going to do this part here, and this part, when I say this part is kind of an automation kind of stuff. This is a web scraping. Web scraping is going to different pages, going to different websites, and collecting the information which you are interested in. So probably if I want to get the information about the iPhone, or maybe iPhone 12, or let's say MacBook, for example, there are various different websites where the information is buried. So I can go to that website and I can get the information from there. I can go to another website, I can get the information from there. What Google is doing behind the scene. I hope whenever you ask anything to the Google always have an answer for you. Why Google has an answer all the time that you are looking for? It is having an answer because all the time Google has so many different small programs. Those are sentinel programs. Those are literally going to every single web page, every single internet web page, and getting the information from them. This is generally called as a crawling process. Absolutely, Vipin. And these small sentinel programs are called as the crawlers. Those are the crawlers which are doing the web scraping in order to understand, or in order to grab the information from different websites, and that information is stored in the Google's database. Whenever you are looking for something, Google searches your keyword into its own database, and it finds that, oh, this keyword is present in this particular website, and then it shows you that information as a search, in the form of a search result. So when I'm searching for iPhone 12, Google knows that iPhone 12 this appears in a website like macrumors.com. So basically it shows me that information right here just because Google already has got the data from different websites, and those websites Google are scanning behind the scene all the time. You know? So that's the reason why Google has all the information which you are looking for. Now I'm going to do this here, and we'll start doing something similar to what Google is doing. This is called as a web scraping example. So to do this web scraping, I think we have to use that Selenium. I hope you already have now installed that Selenium, but only Selenium is not, it's not sufficient. As you see here, Selenium is just a way we can communicate with the program like a web driver. This is called as the browser's driver. This is going to drive your browser. So probably if I'm using Chrome, I'm going to say Chrome driver. So go to that, search for Chrome driver. And this is again browser specific. If I'm using Chrome, then I'm going to use a Chrome driver. If I'm using something like a Firefox, then I'll have to use a Firefox driver. So just search for the driver you are looking for, and probably you will be able to get the driver, and probably you can do the stuff, or maybe you can configure that, or you can copy paste, and then we can start using that Chrome driver or Firefox driver in order to do the next part. So if you are using Chrome, go to your Chrome, say about Chrome, and check the version you are using. I'm using version 85. So probably I'll have to go for this version. This is version specific. So don't use version 86 for communicating with 85. This is not going to work. So probably just go back here, say, click on that URL. Maybe it will download that a zip file. I already have done this before some time. So I already have downloaded it for me. So once it gets downloaded, where are you? Here it is. Once it gets downloaded, it's hardly few kilobytes. Just get this Chrome driver and put it somewhere in your machine, or in your file system. So probably I have copied it somewhere. Let me just see where did I copy it. I think I copied that to my home directory somewhere here, and probably inside a Selenium. Exactly. So I just have copy pasted that somewhere here in in slash your user slash Amit K slash Selenium, and this is the name, Chrome driver. So get it done, and when you are done, then we can start writing the code here. Okay. So probably what we want to do here is this. I'll start using the Selenium now. So to use the Selenium, we'll have to start using the Selenium as a package. Now the Selenium as a package, using the, if you're using same version, Priti, then it will not work on your machine, because this is operating system specific. So if you just click on this one, you will get three options here. You have Mac, Linux, and Windows. So accordingly, we have download. It's hardly few bytes. That's it. It's 4.96 for Windows, 5.11 for Linux, and 7.36 for Mac. Okay. So Priti, I think if you are using Linux, then download the Linux version. If you are using Mac, you download the Mac version. And if you are using Windows, then download the Windows version. This is operating system specific. So once you download this, it's a zip file. Once you download this, extract it somewhere, maybe in your C colon if you are using Windows, wherever, it doesn't matter. If you are using Linux, then maybe you can put that in a home directory, wherever you want to put, doesn't matter. Just save, just know where you are extracting it, because we have to put that path there. So if you have done this, now we will come back here and say, I want to open this WebDriver from Chrome, from Selenium, the one which I mentioned here. So if I go back here and say, hey, now I'll say import Selenium for communicating, communicating with WebDriver. So how do we do this? To do this, we'll have to use, again, from Selenium, import the WebDriver. So this is what we are looking for, WebDriver. That's it. So WebDriver is the one with which we are going to do all this job. So now WebDriver is a kind of, maybe it's a kind of, you can say a generic interface that is going to load the necessary driver to start using that, browser. So I'll show you an example, see if you can understand. This is my function one, where I want to start loading a browser. To load a browser, I need a driver. I just have downloaded that Chrome driver for me, which means I have decided to go with the Chrome. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to say browser, which is equals to, browser, which is equals to something like a WebDriver dot Chrome. Now, why I'm saying Chrome here? Because I'm looking for Chrome browser. If you want to go for Firefox, then you can say Firefox. If you want to use Safari, you can say Safari. If you are using Internet Explorer, I think for that, this is an IE. So IE for Internet Explorer, and so on and so forth. So you decide which one you are going for. I'm going to use Chrome because Chrome is pretty much, available on all the platforms. So I'm going to use Chrome there. Now, when you are using Chrome, here we'll have to say, where is your Chrome's executable, or that Chrome driver's executable? Just now we have extracted it, and we have kind of pasted that or extracted that into this directory. In my case, it's in this directory, Amit K slash Selenium slash Chrome driver. So this is an executable path. What we are trying to say here is, like, we are opening a browser. So open the browser using Chrome driver. Actually, open the browser means open the Chrome browser, because I've decided to use Chrome. If you're using Firefox, then use a Firefox driver and change this line to webdriver.firefox. That's it. The rest of the things will remain same. That's the beauty of using Selenium. So you decide whichever browser you want to use, but still the rest of the code will remain same. Okay, so if I have the browser open now, I want to visit one of the URLs there, or I want to go to that Google URL there. Not able to find the version 85.0 official build 32-bit. Maybe you are using a 64-bit URL. So this is the 64-bit. I think, are you on Windows, Utpal? Sorry, Windows in a sense, Windows 64-bit. Yes, it doesn't matter. You can use a 32-bit, and still it will use, or still it will find that 64-bit available. So probably that's simple one. You just have to download it from this one. That's it. Priti, is that working for you? It's already there, So just go to this URL and you can find it there, 85 point something. Yes, that's good. So probably get this, download this, put that in one of the directories and use that path somewhere here. So this is an executable path. Okay. Okay, now once we have the browser ready, we want to go to one of the URLs there. So maybe I'll say visit the URL, visit the required URL. Maybe I'll say visit the Google URL. How do I do that? Very simple. All we are going to say here is browser get where, maybe https://google.co.in. So this is where I want to go to. So what I'm saying here is, whenever I want to do this, I open the browser, I go to that URL, I press the enter, and then when I'm done, I close the browser. So that's exactly the same thing I'm doing here. So I'm opening a browser, I'm going to that URL, and probably once I'm done with this particular example or this particular session here, I'm going to say close the browser. How do I close the browser? I'll say browser.close, as simple as that. Let's come back here, call that function, and when I say run, you will see that in a second, the browser is opening, it's going to the URL, but nothing happens, it automatically closes. I don't know whether you have seen this, it was a little bit faster. See, one more time. When I run this application, browser automatically opens, it goes to that URL, google.co.in, and automatically closes. Actually, everything is working, but it's kind of going a little bit faster. So I'm not able to see it properly. So what I want to do here is, before it closes, I want to wait for a couple of minutes. Remember yesterday we talked about wait key, and that was from OpenCV. Absolutely, Aisha and Vipin, absolutely right. But unfortunately, the one which is provided with the Selenium, it doesn't work properly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So instead of that, I'm going to come back here and say, oh, import another package called as a time. So time has a functionality to make that thread sleep for some time. So maybe I can say sleep for, let's say, 5 seconds, so that I can at least see what is going on. Seconds. So probably right here, maybe I can say something like a browser, I'm sorry, not browser, time.sleep for 5 seconds. So now what's going to happen? See this. It is going to open the browser. It will go to that URL. It will wait for 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, it will automatically close. I'm raising my hands, it's doing everything automatically. And then it will close after 5 seconds. See how simple is that? So basically what I'm doing manually, I'm asking my program to do it automatically. That's it. Things are working fine. But something which is missing right now is like, it's not searching for, let's say, iPhone 12. So if I want to search for iPhone 12, I'll have to go back here. I'll have to open this google.co.in, and then I'll have to put the iPhone 12 here. Now, when I say here means what? Right click on this and say inspect. Now, this is something of web development fundamentals. And again, unless you know these things, you will not be able to write this code. So probably when I look at this particular element, I can see that this is an input element. But unfortunately, in your website, there will be many input elements, and we can't just be dependent on a fact that you are looking for an element based on the name. Earlier case, when I was having a constant, or maybe I'm having a kind of hard-coded HTML, I knew what I was writing here. But this is not something which I'm writing here. This is something which Google developers already has developed. So I need to find out a way to get this input uniquely. Probably looking at this structure, I can say that this is an input, fine. But it seems like it is having a name equals to Q. So this is a criteria with which I can get the information, or I can get the element object from this page. So how do I do this? To do this, like what I did for the beautiful soap, I'm going to do something similar here. I'm going to say find the input having name is equals to Q. So looking at the structure, I found out that the input is having a name is equals to Q. So to do this, I'm going to say input, which is equals to browser.find element by name. So basically, I'm finding that element by name. The name here is Q. So if it is the Q element, or if it's a Q name, I'm going to get that input here. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put some data into it. So to put the data, I'm going to say input dot, this is a input button, or this is an input string. So I'm going to say send keys. What do you want to send the keys? I'm going to say iPhone 12. So probably you can do it in this case. Yes, Vivek, we can also go for class. We can also go for XPath. There are n number of things here. I'm showing you a standard way right now, just because I know there is a name, and name can be most of the times unique. Okay. So there are many different options. You must have seen that here. Find element by name, find element by ID, find element by class name, CSS selector, link, XPath, and there are a hell lot of other options available. Yes, Vivek, if you know XPath, you can go for XPath. Ketan, if you know class, then you can go for class. The only downside of using class is like maybe the class is kind of reused in your HTML structure, so you might not get one, but you might get an array of those elements. That's one of the risks there. Okay, Vivek, XPath, yes, it works, but I hope you know that XPath is that's the reason why I didn't want to mention XPath, Vivek. But anyways, XPath stands for XML path, the path with which we can find out an element from an XML or from an HTML. So that is called the XPath. The only problem with the XPath is like it is heavily dependent on the structure. So tomorrow, if Google changes the structure from this position to this position, the XPath is going to fail. XPath is like where in your hierarchy you find that element. So probably this is a kind of a downside of using XPath. If you know the structure is not going to change, you can definitely go for XPath. But if you're not sure whether the structure will remain same all the time, you might use something like this, ID or name or some other options available. Okay, so now I'm looking for an input, and right inside this input, I'm saying like, hey, just put that iPhone 12. Let's see what happens now. I'm going to run my code, and when I run this code, watch what happens. It's going back to the URL, and it is adding the iPhone 12 here. See, I'm not doing anything. This is getting done automatically, and the browser will close automatically after 5 seconds. Actually, it has added the iPhone 12. Let me change it to 3 seconds. I'm kind of impatient now. So probably it is adding the text iPhone 12, but nothing is getting searched. Nothing is getting searched. It's just because we are not pressing enter. So how do I press enter there? To press enter, we'll have to first get that keys. Excuse me. So again, from selenium.webdriver, we are going to import something like a keys, or maybe from selenium.keys, I guess. Okay, WebDriver import what exactly that name here. Maybe keys, web keys. No, wait a second. I don't remember now. Let me check it here very quickly. Selenium Python, that's okay. And we are looking for importing keys. So what's the path here? Firefox, that's okay. I'm looking for Selenium WebDriver common. Okay, so Selenium WebDriver dot common import keys. Can we find keys? So we are going to use those keys there, and then probably we can say, hey, input dot send keys. So we are going to say keys dot enter. So basically what we are saying here is we are going to import that keys. I think it's better option to do it in this way. So dot keys as keys, or better we can say only keys. That's fine. So we can do it in this way, or we can do it in this way. Both of them are absolutely right. Or maybe we can directly import keys as well. It's okay. I think that's the simplest option. Otherwise, I'll have to write the entire path there. It's okay. So we can say keys.enter, something like this. So basically, we are going to say that maybe that's even better option. Why am I saying this? I mean, that's the simplest option I can think of. Dot keys and then import keys. Yeah, that's okay. So we can say keys.enter. So what we are saying here is enter the data. Let me add this one and say enter the data, or enter the search text you want to search for, and then press enter. Now see what happens. I'm sending an enter key. Enter is nothing but an enter key. See, I'm not doing anything. I'm just raising my both the hands. You see iPhone 12 automatically get added there. It automatically searches the result, and see, I got entire result there. Now what we want to do there is like, we have to, just get the data, and we can put that somewhere in the code. So whatever is there, I think you can look for the data, and you can go for saving the data, or you can go for processing the data. So what you need to do next is something that you can think of, but this is the way I can simply get the data from a search result, and automatically save that data somewhere in a file. This is how we can do it. Okay. Selenium common key WebDriver exception. Selenium is not executable, but yeah, exactly. So Shubham, you are getting that error just because you have not downloaded the Chrome driver, or you have not used the correct path of that Chrome driver. So the path is either missing, or the Chrome driver you are using is not matching with your or maybe there is a spelling mistake here, because if it is not a spelling mistake, if it is a finding it, and if the version is not matching, it will give you a different error. It will say the version is not available, or the version is not matching, or something like this. So that means either the spelling mistake in the path, or maybe the Chrome driver you are using is in some other directory, and you are using some maybe a wrong path here. That could be the reason. Okay, fine. So probably what I'm looking for is this, and hopefully this is the simplest way to start getting the data and start doing the stuff here. I mean, it's very simple. I know it's very simple right now, and hopefully it makes total sense, and see how it can be done right here. Okay. Now, this is a kind of a web scraping, but let me continue using this, and let us see how we can do this further and find out the information that I'm looking for into how do I format that into different options. What are you saying, Shekhar? It's very good to see that Python doing RPA functions. Yes, actually, true. So probably when I say this is the way we can do the information, we can get the information from google.com. Let us do something meaningful and get some data script. So basically this is page 4. I'm going to still using the Selenium, but this time we'll do something different. Let me just copy this, paste it here, and let us get the data. We'll put the data into a better format. Now, I'm not able to recall which website did I use, because that website is having a better structure. Just give me a second. Let me search for the website which I used earlier, because it was an AccuWeather or something, or was it AccuWeather? Let me just check this quickly. AccuWeather. These people have changed the structure, but it's okay. Let me just search for Pune, Maharashtra in. Oh yeah, that's the one, I guess. And do they have the data I'm looking for? I need some data hourly or daily or monthly. We can go for one of the data. We can go for this. That's okay. They have changed the structure a little bit, but it's okay. We can get the data. So what I'm saying here is, you see, we are having some daily data here. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to get the data from these days, and I want to get this information stored in a different format. This is kind of a web scraping, and this is one of the simplest example. We can see the data is available for end user. If I'm an end user, I can visit the website. I can see, hey, maybe on Saturday it will be 32 degree. My God. On Sunday it will be 30 degree. On Monday it will be 30 degree, and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm a machine learning developer, I need this data so that I can predict the maybe predict the future temperature. Let's say they have given the temperature till 14th, for example. So if I want to go for 15th, then probably I can study this data for maybe a couple of days, and then I can automatically predict it for the next day. So this is what I'm looking for. Being a machine learning developer, I want to go for. But for this, I need the data. The data is there, but you know what? If I want to get the data, then we'll have to literally copy and paste the data manually. Like, I'll have to go back here and say, this is the Saturday, this is the data, this is Sunday, this is the data. I'll have to put that data one by one, copy paste the code manually, which I don't find feasible, because it's not like once, but I want to continuously get the data from different sites, then run different algorithms on top of it, regression analysis algorithm on top of it, and then I want to predict the data. So if I want to do this, I have to gather the hell of data. Maybe if I want to gather that data, then Selenium is the best option. So let us see how the Selenium can be used here in order to get the data, and in order to maybe extract the information out of it. Okay, let's see how it can be done. It's very simple, by the way. So this is the URL that I want to hit now. So right now, I'm going to go back here and say this is going to be definition. Let's say I'm going to call it as a function 1. It's okay. This is the URL I want to visit, and this URL is where we want to get the information from. So probably this is where we are going to open the browser. Now I'm going to write the code maybe a little bit quickly, because this is something we already have seen last time. So I'm going to say webdriver.chrome. So that's the one where I know it's in my users /Amit Selenium /Chrome driver. This is the one. I'm going to go for browser.get and say, hey, go to that URL, this URL right here. Once you have the URL, now we have to start finding this information. I want to grab this information. So to grab this information, probably you can see that this information is there inside a span. The span is inside the div. The div is having a class equals to temp. This div is available inside another div called as info, which is somewhere here. And this is available inside another A for anchor tag. And this is having inside something called as a div wrapper. Now, daily wrapper. if you can pay attention, then all this information, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all this information is available in similar divs. You know, this is the div class daily wrapper, div dash class daily wrapper, div class daily wrapper. So if I somehow can find this div, the div which is having, yeah, so sorry for that. Here it is. It's already there in your, yeah, here it is. I just added that URL on your chat, so you can get it from there. So if I somehow get the objects of these div classes, div objects, where the class matches with the daily wrapper, I think I can go inside that div class. I can find out the anchor tag. I can find out the D tag. Then I can find out the div tag again from here. The hell? I can find out that div tag here, and then I can find the high temperature and the low temperature like this. So I think if I know the structure, I can write this code pretty much easily. Let's see how it can be done. So once you say browser.get URL, when I mean, in that case, it is going to browser URL there. For just for the time, just for the sake of safety side, I mean, sometimes it happens. It's browsing get and it directly goes to find out the element. And sometimes while it is rendering the page, it takes a couple of seconds. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask this to sleep for a second or maybe a couple of seconds, so that it will take its own time to render the entire content, and then I'll be able to find out the information I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for here is the is something like the div elements where the class is the daily wrapper. So I'm going to say divs, which is equals to browser.find element, no, elements, because we are looking for multiple elements by using a CSS class selector. So not CSS selector, by using class name. Look at the way we are writing the code. It's not element, it elements. When I say elements, it's going to return an array. So what is the name of that class I'm looking for? So probably the class name here is something like a daily wrapper. So this is the class. I just got to know that this is a kind of a daily wrapper div. Maybe div, find the div containing, containing the temperature information. That's it. I found the divs element here. Now, because it's going to be an array, I'm going to go for div in divs. You know, so what we are doing here is, once I find the div elements, I'm going to go with every single div and we'll try to find out the information I'm looking for. I can directly find the information here, which I'm looking for. That's a div temp. So probably I can go back here and say, hey, division temp. This is what I'm going to get here. Div TMP or TEMP rather, which is equals to that div dot again find element. It's not elements, it's going to be only one element. So I'm going to say find element by class name, which is having a class. What's the name of that class? Say this is the temp class. And right inside this, probably I'm looking for two more span elements. So this is the span element having a class high and having a class low, which is going to give me the actual temperature there, you know. So this is how we are going to get the data from a particular element. So please see to it that we are getting the data out of an element, and this element is going to give me the information out of it. So probably I'm going to come back here. I'll say this is the div underscore high. So how do I do this? It's a div underscore temp, find element by class name. This is the high and this is the low. So there is a high temperature and there is a low temperature. So let us find whether we can get all of this information. And if I can get, I'm going to say print, let's say div high, which is equals to, that's div underscore high. And let's say there's a div low, the low temperature I'm looking for, which is equals to div low. So let us see what happens now. Function one. Don't forget to say browser.close. Otherwise, it unnecessarily opens too many instances of it and unnecessary spits down your, lets your performance down. So better we can just close it when we are done with this. So let us see what happens. Let's wait for it. See, it is browsing this. And after browsing this, it is finding the information, finding the element, and boom, look at that. I found all the elements I was looking for. So this is the div high element somewhere here. This is the div low element somewhere here. This is again div high element, div low element. So basically, I found all the div elements which I was looking for. But now it's not only the div element I'm looking for. It's like I'm going to go inside it and I'm going to find out the actual value which is there inside that element. So probably what I'm going to do here is and now I'll get the actual temperature information, you know. So let's see whether it does the job. It is browsing it, then it is going to find out all the information, and boom, do you see that? I got the high temperature, I got the low temperature, again I got the high temperature, I got the low temperature, and yeah, that is what I was looking for. You see how simple is that, you know. Along with this, I mean, I got the temperature, but I don't know what exactly the date that in the date for which the temperature I found. So I think the date I can find it easily by going for the date H2, and within this there is a date, maybe DOW, data, day of week, and SUB. I don't know what that is, sub or something, whatever it is. So I can get both of them separately, and I can say, okay, this is the date, and this is a kind of date and time, I'm sorry, date and maybe day of week, and I can print it along with it, you know. So probably this is the temperature information, temperature. Okay, now let's do this for the date, and say probably what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find out not D, what is it, H2. It doesn't matter actually, it's a variable name, but I want to be on the similar line so I can understand what am I looking for. So I'm looking for H2, which is having a class equals to date. So probably I'm asking this div to find an element by using a class name called as a date. Now within this H2, I'll find out two more spans. One is DOW and the second one is sub. So let's say span DOW, which is equals to H2 dot find element by class name. That's DOW, date of week, and span underscore SUB. I don't know what that means here, but whatever, I don't care about that. I got the sub and I got the DOW. Now I think I'm going to print both of this information. So maybe I'll say this is the day. I can get it easily by saying span DOW dot text, and I can get the SUB, that's actually date, maybe, probably. And this I can get it by using SUB. Now let us see what happens. So probably if I just pay attention to the console here, you see now, for every single day, I'm getting the information in terms of high and low. See, this is the day, date, high and low, day, date, high and low. What else do you need? I think it's working fine. You know, this is what I was looking for. And if I'm getting this information, then I think I can grab this information, put that in one of the dictionaries. I can club that dictionary together, and I can easily put that in one of the files there. See, what I'm going to do here is I'll say this is going to be a temperatures, which is a list, temperature. So, and in the temperatures, I'm going to put this data by saying temperature dot append. Right inside this, we'll put a kind of a dictionary where we can say a day in a week, which I can easily get it from here. Span DOW dot text. Okay. Next is the actually date, which is nothing but the span SUB dot text. Then I can say high temperature, high temp, which is equals to again div high dot text, and probably I can say low temp. It's my bad. It's temp is this temp, and then I can say div low dot text. Do we have any other information? Yeah, I think we are having kind of a prediction here. This I think is the rain prediction. I hope. What is it? Or is it precipitation? Okay, so we have the precipitation information as well. Can we get that? Oh yeah, no problem. We'll get this as well. So this is the precipitation. Sorry. Okay, so I can get the precipitation value by saying what exactly is this? Is it div precip? Okay, precipitation, whatever it is, I don't care. So this is going to be a div underscore precipitation, which is equals to this is the div dot find element by class name. This is the precip, and I can get that as well by saying this is the precip, which is equals to div precip dot text. No, so I got all the information. I added that right inside one single dictionary, and the dictionary I appended inside the list. Now I can just come back here. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to say, hey, print the information here. Maybe I'll say the info or information I found here is this. Print, this is the temperatures list. So this is going to be a list of dictionaries. Let's see what happens now. Everything is getting done automatically, you know. Very simple. That's it. Look, I got the information, and this information is having the day Saturday. This is the date 0310. This is the high temperature, and this is the low temperature, and precipitation is 54%. My God, I got the data which I was looking for, and I can save this data into one of the CSV files and do whatever I want to do with this. The only problem here is it's having some special characters like this one, or maybe something like a slash or something like a percentage sign. Not a big deal. What we are going to do here is this is okay because that is a date by month, so that's okay. I don't want this one, so what I'm going to do here is I will say don't give me this one. Maybe I'll say this is going to be, and plus you see that it is a kind of string here. I want this to be in maybe a float, or maybe in float is okay, or maybe you can go for integer as well. So what I'm going to say here is this is the high temperature, or temperature underscore high underscore, or maybe it's okay, is equals to integer of what is it? Let's say div high dot text dot replace. Replace is the function that we can say replace the special character whatever is there with empty. So what is going to happen? This one will go and will get a string 32. That string 32 we are going to convert that into integer and we'll store it here. So instead of adding a textual information, now I can add the integer information there. That's it. This is the way we can do that, or maybe we can write that code directly like this. Maybe we can put that right here and say something like integer of text temp high. So this is a kind of a string. Maybe I'll say remove the special characters, special character. So this is what we are doing here. Now the same is required for low as well. So this is going to be low, and that's it. But you know what? If I want to convert that to an integer, then we'll have to remove this slash as well. So probably I'll have to do it one more time. This is where we are replacing the information, replacing the character, maybe the special character like this degree symbol, and now we are going to replace it with this one as well. So whenever I find this, I'll replace it by empty string. That's it. Now I'll convert this here into an integer and we'll do it here. You can convert that into float as well, doesn't matter. The same is true for precipitation as well. So what I'm going to do here is, this is the precipitation, sorry, this is the precipitation here. What the hell? Here it is. Precipitation, oh my bad, it should be a temperature low, otherwise you will replace only this one here. So here, remove the special characters, so not one, but two. So this is the remove special character. This is the precipitation value I'm looking for, which is a deep precipitation dot text dot replace, sorry, replace the percentage sign with nothing. That's it. So this precipitation, I'm going to convert that into integer, and guess what? When I say run, probably you will see that now, sorry, let me run this now and see what happens here. Last time I was getting some invalid characters like degree symbol, slash, and other things. Now everything will be removed. All the special characters will be removed, and probably will get the actual integer data for temperature and precipitation. Is it working or not? Oh, there is an error. No attribute like text. Somewhere I'm missing something. What the hell? Oh, I got the error here because this is the problem. Sorry, it's my bad. This already is a string. So when I say that replace, I'm already getting a string here, So that's the reason it is kind of giving me an error. Not anymore. Let me run this code, and now just hold for a second. Great, look at that. So we are having a date, high temperature 32, it's an integer value, low temperature 32, it's an integer value, and precipitation is 54. Guess what? We are done. Now what do you want to do with it? It's up to you. So probably here I was printing the information. Maybe if I decide to go for a simple file writing, then maybe I can say the file is equals to open. Maybe I'll say the data or the temperatures dot CSV. If it is a CSV, it's a comma separated value. Open this value with the W. W means it's a write mode. You know this part. I'll say close before I forget that. And let's run a for loop and say for, let's say dictionary. Let's say dictionary in temperatures. This is the list of dictionaries. And then I can say file dot write. What do you want to write? I want to write something like this. Before that, I'll say write. The first one is the day. second one is the date, third one is the high temperature, third one is sorry, fourth one is the low temperature, and the fifth one is the precipitation. So precip, that's it. So just do it in this way. So this is the first one, second one, sorry, don't use any space, third one, for third one, fourth one, and the fifth one. That's it. You know, we are done. So probably what I'm going to do here is just get the information here. So 1 2 3 4 and 5. All we have to say here is get the dictionary and get the particular value. So here what I'm looking for is the day. Here what I'm looking for is the date. Here I'm looking for something like a high temp. This is where I'm looking for a low temperature, and this is where I'm looking for precipitation. That's it. Do not forget to have a comma, because CSV stands for comma separated values. This is the comma. Comma is not required here, but we do need a slash n, because if you do not have a slash n, everything will go in one single line. So don't forget to add a slash n there. That's it. We are done, guys. So if we are done, really done, look at this one. We don't have any CSV file here except the salary data. This is not a temperature CSV file. I'm going to run this application now, and we'll wait for a minute or two. Once it is done, once it is done, oh, look at that. It has created a temperatures.csv file. And if I double click on that, wow, look at that. I found a file. Guess what? Maybe if I just go back here and open this in my Finder and double click on this, or maybe I can open that with Excel sheet. And guess what? Again, this is what the formatted data looks like. Where are you, Excel? Here it is. Look at that. You know, I got that data in the CSV format, and I got that data pretty much well defined. So this is for end user. Maybe where is that website? I lost it, I guess, in between. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is for end user. End user can see that pretty much with a nice user interface, and other things are there, but it's okay. I don't care about this because I'm a programmer. I don't want to read the data like this. I want to get the data in CSV file so that later on, if required, I can get the data. Maybe I can read the data somewhere, and probably I can put that in a particular chart. So this is the way we can do it, you know. So as simple as that. It's not only working, but it's giving you a kind of information about what exactly you can get how exactly you can get the data from different websites. The only difference here is you have to study the website structure, and then you have to do it accordingly. Now maybe just extension of this, like what we have done last time. I'm going to come back here and open the matplotlib, because we already have got the low temperature and high temperature. Let's see how does it look like. So import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. I'll simply copy that code which I already have shown you last time. So literally copy this code as it is, even the pandas as well, and put that right inside the second function. So this is where I want to put that code. See, exactly like what I showed you earlier. I think I can easily get that one from this one to this one here. It's okay. So now instead of reading the data like CSV file, salary or blah, blah, I'm going to do that with the temperatures.csv. Exactly what we have done last time, you know. So probably here, I want to put the data column name height, high space temp. Shouldn't have done it, but it's okay. So probably I should go for this one first. Let's put this in comment for a second. First, let's see whether we are getting the correct column names. Let us run this code, and probably, yes, we are getting. This is the high space temp and low space temp. So what is needed now? So probably I'm going to go back here and say this is high. I'm sorry. This is the day actually. For this, we have to create the days as a new list, where we can say range of. We'll start from 0. Should I? No, we'll start from let's say range length of df of, you can go for anything, length of this +1. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to create one more x-axis, where x-axis will be the days, and along with the days means 1 2 3 4, first day, second day, third day, fourth day, so on and so forth. Here I'll put the high temp, and here I'm going to use the green, no, high means it's red for me, and label is equals to high temperature. Okay, so scatter plot, again, this is going to be the high temperature against the days, and probably we'll use the same red color. That's fine. Label is not required there. So this is for high temperature. Let's go for the low temperature as well. This is going to be the low temperature here. This is going to be the low temperature here. Low temperature, I'll show that in green color, and I'll say that this is going to be a low temperature. You know, this is going to be in green color. This is not years of experience. This is x-axis days, number of days. This is a temperature, maybe the low or maybe high. And what is this? Maybe this is the temperatures maybe in September or October, not September, October is already gone. So October, sorry, October, that's it. So probably if I just go back here and run my code, see what happens. So probably I'll get a one nice chart, which is telling me in October month, you see, this is the low temperature, this is the high temperature. See how simple is that? Whatever you are getting here, it's completely dynamic data. Means if you run this code tomorrow, the chart will be a little bit different. So probably see the impact of using the web scraping by using Selenium. So Selenium is really great. I mean, I love Selenium love Selenium just because it has so much of power. We can use it for anything. I mean, I do this regularly for scraping the data for machine learning. So that's how we do it in the real world. So whenever you are looking for the data, just search for the sites. If you do not have the web services directly available, you can scrape the data pretty much setting the HTML file, and boom, you can do something like this. Now, how you want to represent it is up to you, but I just gave you a complete example here so that we started from scratch, and then we are having a very nice chart. We are, just getting the data from a website like AccuWeather. Now, probably I love AccuWeather because the structure is a little bit simpler, and they have changed over the time. So I still remember last time the structure was a little bit different. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Even if the structure is changed, we can look at the structure and we can write the next piece of code. Yes, so this is how we can do it. Now, likewise, can we do it for images? Yes, we can, but for that, we'll have to save the images. We have to use another package for that, downloading code, something like a wget. So we'll have to go for another package. This is generally called as a wget. So if you search for Python wget, you will get this one, wget image. This is something which is used for downloading an image. So yes, Pranit, this can be done for downloading the images from websites as well. That can be also done. Okay. Ketan, if you want to log the FB, then do we need to pass the password and via code? Of course, yes. Because in that case, see, whenever you are logging to the Facebook, so what you need to do here is, maybe if you go to Facebook, I don't use Facebook a lot. I'm not a Facebook user, but if I want to do it, so probably what you can do here is you can find it out. Maybe if I just look at the inspect, I can't show that example because I don't remember the password of my user. So does that work, test user? No, of course not. I knew it. But anyway, so what you can do here is you can just find it out. The input is here. You can see ID's email. So you can find it out there. You can search for the other one where you can say, hey, this input is having IDs equals to pass. You can say send keys. You can find this button. So button is something like a login. And in this button, probably you can find it out by using IDs equals to U0B, whatever it is. And you can click on that button. So that can also be done. So what you want to do here is up to you. So this can be done by easily using a something like studying that HTML structure. So if you know the HTML structure, you can easily write the code there. Okay, so that's it. I don't have a Facebook dummy account. I mean, I was having it earlier, but I don't remember whether the password is changed or not. You see, the password is changed. I have to literally go back and try to do it in this way. Leave it, but otherwise I would have shown you that, but it's okay. So generally, can we do that for mobile apps as well? No, mobile apps is a native application. You can't do it for mobile applications. You can do it only for the websites. You can do it for mobile optimized websites, but you can't do it for the mobile here. Okay. What is this error? And Unicode escape cannot decode the byte position in 2-3, a truncated character escape. It's in a path. Maybe the path is having some special characters. Can't help. There you can't do anything. Okay, so that's a special character. When you say /UX, that's a Unicode character, and probably that's a reason. I mean, that's what your application is not able to understand or not able to read it. So that's a reason why it is giving you an error. That's fine. Unicode character codec, maybe something is missing on your machine, sir. It is the path. No, I don't think it's a path, or is it? You have copy pasted the part from somewhere. Maybe that's where it is kind of giving you an error. I'm also getting the same Unicode escape error. Are you using some, I don't think you have any. Oh, you are having a slash here, sir. Use double slash, because when you are saying slash u, look at that, C colon slash u, it is identifying it. It's identifying it as a Unicode character. So when you are writing it, see, sir, what you need to do here is this. I'll just put that here on your chat. This is the path you have to use. So use a double slash instead of slash, because it's a string, you know. When you are in string, then probably this is how you are to escape it. Use this path and it will work. Or F for formatted string, whatever. Exactly. So you can use F or you can use double slash, whatever. It depends on you. Okay, that will solve your problem. See, when you say slash u, C colon slash users u, it is identifying SERS as a Unicode character, and it is not a valid Unicode character. That's what it is giving you an error for. Anyway, so now you know what is that selenium is and what you can do with that selenium. This is an example of selenium which can be used for both the purpose. I mean, for maybe automation purpose and for a kind of a web scraping purpose. So you decide what you want to do, and this is the way we can do that. Okay. 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 So let's go to the next point very quickly. I hope I had it open somewhere. Where are you? Here it is. Okay. So we are kind of done with this. Let me mark it as done. Let me mark it as it done. Let me mark it as it done. Now NLTK PVM architecture, I'll send us notes for that instead of just wasting your time here. I'll show you a few things practically, and then I'll share the architecture's documentation after the session. Let's look at an example of a thread, regex, and generator. Let's see whether you can understand this part, and we'll see the NLTK as well. So let's get an example of a thread. Now I'm assuming that you already have seen thread, because thread is not a Python concept. Thread is an operating system concept. What is a thread? A thread is the way we are going to perform multiple jobs at the same time parallelly. I'll give you a simple example, see if you can understand. Let's say I have two functions here. Let's say function one, def function one, which is doing some job. Let's say print reading file from data, reading data from file, sorry, reading data from a file. Imagine the file is really big. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm just telling you that this is going to read a file. Maybe it is going to take some time. I'm just going to simulate the example here that the reading file will take, let's say, 5 seconds. So I'm going to say time.sleep 5, which means reading file will take 5 seconds. That's what I'm simulating here. Let's write another function. Let's say def function 2, and here I want to perform some mathematical example or mathematical calculations. So probably what I'm saying here is, here I'm going to do some kind of mathematical calculation like addition equals to, or multiplication. That's a little bit complicated. So multiplication is equals to something something into something something, doesn't matter. So basically I'm getting two numbers multiplied together, and here I want to print the information. Say multiplication, which is equals to the multiplication, you know. So that's how we are doing these two jobs in two different functions. Now what I'm saying here is, when you are trying to do these jobs sequentially in a sense, let's say this multiplication is going to take another couple of seconds. So I'll say it's going to take 3 seconds right here. I mean, it's going to do the job quickly, but just for an example, I'm saying it's going to take 3 seconds to do that multiplication, and whenever it is done, it is going to do that. It's going to print that multiplication result. Now watch what I'm trying to show you here. If I call that function 1 and then function 2, you know that what is going to happen. So probably when you say that the function 1, when it gets called, excuse me, it goes to that function definition. It prints this reading the data from file. Then it sleeps for 5 seconds, and once it comes up, I'll say reading completed, reading data completed, for example. So it is going to spend 5 seconds here, and after 5 seconds, it's going to say the reading data completed. Then it will come back here on line number 16. Then it goes to line number 17 and it calls that function. Here it will do the multiplication. Just imagine it is going to take 3 seconds to do that multiplication, and after 3 seconds, it is going to put the multiplication here. So in total, this application will take 5 plus 3, 8 seconds to give me the final result. So if I try to look at my console, look what happens here. If I try to look at my console, say it started reading the data, it's going to wait for 5 seconds. Then it is going to say the reading completed. then it is going to go for doing the mathematical calculation, and then after 3 seconds it is doing the calculation. To be very honest, I think we are kind of waiting till the file is getting read in the memory. Now, to be again on the similar line, to be honest, I'm saying like multiplication, it does not depend on reading the data from that file. These are two different things. Reading the data from file and doing the multiplication, if these two things are completely different, if these two things are not dependent on each other, then why are you wasting your 5 seconds here till the file is getting read? Now, sometimes the file is a little bit bigger. Instead of 5 seconds, it might take 10 seconds. Sometimes it's going to take a couple of minutes. It all depends on how big the file is. Imagine the file is very big, in which case it is going to take a lot of time to read the data from file. In which case, you have to unnecessarily wait till the entire file gets read in the memory, which is not required, because what I want to do here is the multiplication, and this part is nothing to do with the actual file reading process. If that is the case, maybe operating system will suggest me, why don't you go for doing these jobs parallelly? Now, when I say parallelly, this is generally the case. Let me just go back here. And this is generally the case. Let's go back here and say this is generally the case. Whenever your program starts, let's say it can be any program. Not necessarily that it is a Python program. It can be a C program. It can be a C++ program. It can be literally anything. So every program, whenever you write, this is a program. This is a kind of a file which is stored on the disk. When operating system executes this program, this gets converted into a process. So this is again operating system fundamentals, nothing to do with Python. So this is the process which is converted by using operating system loader. So operating system loader loads this program and converts that into a process, which you can see in your process explorer, or maybe something like a task manager on Windows, or maybe activity monitor on Mac, somewhere here. So this is again getting read by operating system loader. This is the job of operating system loader, to load the program and create a process out of it. Once the process gets created, every process, no matter whether it is a Python program, C program, C++ program, C# program, whatever it is, every single process will create a main thread. So this is the thread which is going to start executing your code. So when you write the code will get started, or the code will get executed by the basic unit called as a thread. So operating system will create a process, and within the process, it is going to start a main thread. This is called as a main thread. And this main thread is used for executing your code. Now, what happens here is, if you pay attention to our program, our main thread is doing these two jobs in sequence. Now, when I say it is in sequence, that simply means this is my main thread, and if I say, hey, main thread, just take this out, not needed. So if I say this is the main thread, so probably I'm asking my main thread to first call the function one. Maybe this is the one and this is the two. There are two functions here. So I'm asking my function, I'm asking my main thread to call my function one. And once the function one is done, then I'm asking it to call function two. And that's where the problem is. So you see that when the main thread is asked to run this function one, function two, it is going to run that in sequence. I mean, sequentially, it will first complete function one, and then it will go for function two, which means unless function one is called, unless function one is done its execution, we can't go to function two. That's what the limitation of single threaded application, where you are kind of sacrificing your performance, because you know that mathematical operation does not depend on the file reading process, but still you can't do anything because your application is having only one thread at the given moment. So is there any way I can do something with this program and just improve the performance? Yes, operating system suggests that when you are doing something like this, when you are looking for executing multiple code or multiple functions like this, which are having no interaction or no dependency with each other, then probably you can run one function in one thread and another function in another thread. This is where the thread comes into picture. So probably we'll use that main thread to do something with then maybe function one or function two, and we'll ask another thread to create or maybe we'll create two different threads to do the actual job here. So I'm going to split this main thread. I'm going to split this main thread into two more threads. See what I'm going to do here. So this is my one more thread where I'm going to use it for the next purpose. I mean, for executing the function 1 or function 2, both of them here. And then once they are done, probably we'll continue using the main thread doing something else. So now you see that the main thread will remain as it is. We'll create one more thread here for executing my my function 1, and I'll do it similarly for function 2. This is how we are going to do the job. So this is my thread 1. I'm going to call it as a thread 1 here. Sorry, this is going to be a thread 1. You can have any name there, it doesn't matter. Name is not important, concept is important. This is thread 2, where the actual function will get executed, which is going to execute the function 1 and function 2, by the way. Function 1 here and function 2 here. I don't know whether you can see this clearly, but now they are going to get executed simultaneously or parallelly. Here, both of them will get executed in sequentially, but here both of them will get parallelly executed. So this is where the thread comes into picture. So thread is operating system concept, and this thread is kind of created or manipulated or maybe managed by using any language. So here we are using Python. You can do that in C, you can do that in C++, Java, and any other language out there. So how do we do this in Python? In Python, this is the simplest part. All we are going to do here, watch this, all we are going to do here is this. Maybe I'll say import threading. I'll just try to increase the number. So you will feel that it is going to take 10 seconds and 10 seconds each, in a sense. I'll go back here and say started performing calculation. So if I run this program now, calculation, if I run this program right now, it's going to take 20 seconds. You know that 10 seconds for this, and after that 10 seconds for this. And that's the reason why it is going to take 20 seconds. Fine. Why, I mean, what I'm going to do here is, instead of calling these two functions in the sequential fashion, this is called as sequential, or it's also called as synchronous behavior. Synchronous behavior. Synchronous means it's a sequential, and sequential means once the function 1 is done, then and only then it is going to go for second function. Unless function 1 is done, you cannot go to the function 2. That's called as synchronous or sequential behavior. Now I want to convert that into asynchronous fashion. This is called as asynchronous. Synchronous, and asynchronous means it's non-sequential. Generally it's called as asynchronous, but for us it's kind of a non-sequential. Non-sequential means we are going to create multiple threads to execute this job here. So how do we do this? To do this, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say create a thread 1. You can name it anything. That's a variable, by the way. And there we can say threading dot thread. This is what I want to create a thread for executing a target. Target means which function you want to execute in that target. I want to say that, hey, here I want to execute function 1. Okay, so this is where I'm going to say thread 1, which is going to create a new thread here for executing function 1. And I'm going to do the same thing for second thread. So thread 2 is where I'm going to execute the function 2. That's it. So here I'm going to create new threads. So I'll say create threads. Creating threads will not start them. Creating thread will just create the objects. That's it. If you really want to start those threads, you can say, hey, start the threads. And when you say start the threads, it's going to be very simple. Thread 1 dot start and thread 2 dot start, you know, as simple as that. Let us see what happens here. When I say thread 1 dot start, this thread is going to execute function 1. And when I say thread 2 dot start, this function will get executed inside the thread 2. Both of them will run parallelly. That's what important part you need to understand. Let us see what happens here. Let me run this code. And probably when I run this code, see, it started reading the data and it started performing the calculation. I don't know whether you can see this, but both of them are getting executed parallelly. And you see, I got the multiplication result and I got the reading data completed in one single go. In one single go, that simply means both of them are running parallelly. Look at this. If I'm not doing this part, maybe I'll just do one thing. I'll just put this inside one more function. I'll say async behavior or async execution. And probably I'll just put it here. And then we'll call this function execution. And I'll call this function here async execution. I'll put this in comment for a minute. And then we'll come back here. We'll say this is going to be a sync execution, synchronous execution, and let's put this here. So basically here we are calling function 1 and function 2 sequentially. So let's call this function one more time. So again, pay attention to the way the output is printing here. Probably I put that, yes, exactly. So now let's see, this is the sync part. So first reading the file started. After 10 seconds, the reading file will be finished, completed in a second. Done. Now started performing calculation. Another 10 seconds it is going to take to perform that calculation, and then it is telling the calculation is almost like whatever the number we are getting there. So it took almost 20 seconds to execute this code because we are running this code sequentially. Now when I do this asynchronously, async execution, watch what happens. I'm going to say run. On a count of 3, I'm going to say run. 3, 2, 1. So see, reading data from file started and performing calculation, both of them are running parallelly, not sequentially, or synchronously or non-sequentially, and both of them will get executed exactly in 10 seconds. So I don't know whether you can say this or not, but both function 1 and function 2, both of them are getting executed simultaneously or parallelly, and this is possible by using something called as a thread. Thread is an important part of Windows. Not Windows, sorry, my bad. Important part of any operating system. And any operating system like Windows, Mac, and Linux has support for thread. Without thread, you cannot execute even your Hello World program. So by default, every operating system loads the program into memory and creates a process out of it, and uses a main thread. That's a thread where the actual application will start its execution. So on this thread, if you are doing if you are executing the functions like this, they will get executed one by one sequentially, which sometimes hurts the performance. So to achieve the performance gain, you generally go for multi-threading. Multi-threading is a concept where we are having multiple threads along with the main thread. So that's where the multiple threads are required here. Okay. So in this case, probably you can say it's very simple. All we are doing here is like we are creating a different threads here. Thread 1, thread 2, and those threads we are starting them so that they can start running the parallel. Ketan, where threading is used heavily in the Python applications? When you are doing multiple processing at the time, maybe when you are processing, let's say 2 different files or 2 different jobs where they don't have they don't have a dependency with each other. For example, the simplest case here, when we are reading the file from the memory for processing the data, at the same time you can also do some other job, like say maybe mathematical calculations, or maybe reading some data from another file which is not having any dependency over the first file. So that's where the multi-threading is required. When you are going for developing a server kind of applications, there also threading is required. Actually, you unknowingly already have used a multi-threaded application last time. It's like you didn't notice it, but when you are writing a Flask application, Flask was creating one thread behind the scene so that the program can continuously run. In this case, the main thread will literally will wait for a second thread, the server thread, to to complete its execution. So you unknowingly already has created one multi-thread application. Here we are doing it explicitly by creating a thread ourselves. Flask creates a thread internally. Here we are creating a thread explicitly. Okay. Vipin, can we say the multi-threaded depends on the thread? Multi-threading, multitasking is depending on threads. To be honest, when you talk about the multitasking, there are 2 types of multitasking. Multitasking is kind of multi-threading multitasking and multi-processing multitasking. There are 2 different ways. So multitasking using thread depends on threads, absolutely. And multitasking using processing or multitasking using processes, generally called as multiprocessing, is dependent on the process. But process ultimately depends on thread. So whenever you say multitasking, absolutely, that again depends on a thread. To be very honest, when I say I'm running these many applications, I'm running something like a PyCharm, maybe a paintbrush, a text, and so on and so forth. This is called as multitasking. To start those multitasking, we have to run different processes. Every single process has already created a thread. So behind the scene, operating system is setting those processes into their main threads. Okay. So not directly, but indirectly, yes, it's kind of depending on the threads. And this is again operating system's feature. Snehal, is multithreading also related to the memory processing optimization? Not really, actually. It's nothing to do with the memory processing as such, but it's more or less you want to execute multiple jobs simultaneously. Like you are having a complex operations to perform, and you want to do that in parallel, or you want to do that in asynchronous fashion so that you can save some time. So this is generally used for performance gain. If you want to do it sequentially, probably it is going to take some more time. And if you want to do this by using a multi-threading example, or if you go for multiple threads, then probably it is going to save some time. That's the only thing here. Okay. Multi-threading, I think the best example, if you already have seen Pujari doing the puja, then the Pujari must have must hold a kind of bell in his left hand and uses a arti in one hand. So what do you do here? Like this is an example of multi-threading. So I'm doing exactly same thing here. One hand is using a bell, is ringing a bell, and the other one is using that arti. So this is a multi-threading. These two things are completely parallel. I mean, if I do something like this and this is called a sequential behavior. But when you're doing these two jobs parallelly, this is an example of multi-threading. This is a classic example of multi-threading, absolutely. Another classic example, when you are riding a bike, then you are applying brakes, you are using clutch, you are accelerating bike, you are looking at the through the mirrors, or looking somewhere around you to see some special cases, you know. So that is again multitasking and multi-threading. So you are the same person, means you are the same process, but you are doing multiple things parallelly. So that's an example of again multi-threading. So multi-threading is multitasking and multi-threading. That's how it is implemented. But yeah, this is more or less depends on the threading. Absolutely. Yes, browser uses it for opening multiple tabs. No, Preeti, earlier it used to be the case, but now it's not. I mean, these days, whenever you are talking about the browsers, every browser tab is a process itself, not a thread, but it's a process itself. Okay. So probably if you just go back to the Chrome, and if I say I'm opening a new tab here, sorry, I'm opening a new tab here, something like this, then all of them are representing different threads, different processes these days. Earlier, they were representing a separate threads, but nowadays these are separate processes. Okay. I hope there is an option here somewhere. You can see that different tabs open and then you can do it. Yes, Jagrat, you're saying I created one test automation in which I handle the tool called as Canyon. Okay, I created one GUI trigger tool and started processor, but all the time my start button is freezing. I try to solve this threading, but not able to solve. Of course, in that case, you will have to do that multi-threading only. There is no option. Otherwise, your button will be frozen. Maybe if you can share the code, I can help you, not here, not right now, but after the session, if you can send the code, I can try to help you. We'll see what is wrong there and we can try to solve the problem. Okay. Anyways, that's a quick example of how to do the multi-threading. And again, understand that threading is not a Python feature. I can just tell you like how to run threads or how to start the threads in Python, but threading itself is the operating system's concept. Anyways, now you know there is a package called as a threading, and in that threading there is a class called actually there is a function called as a thread, which is telling me like this is the targeted thread I want to this is the targeted function I want to start in a thread, and this is the way we can start a thread. That's it. This is the way we can create a simple threaded application or multi-threaded application. I hope you are getting it. Now let us go back to one more quick example. This is the thread part. Very simple. Regex part, it's even simpler than that. I'm again going to show you a simple example. Again, see, these are not Python concepts. I mean, I can talk about regular expressions for next couple of days and still it will be a kind of less, but I'm going to assume that you know what regex means, regular expressions are, and then based on those regular expressions, if you want to do that in Python, then how can you do it? That's what I'm going to show you here. If possible, can we have a CRUD operation using REST? Using init.py package, and how can I hide my code from end user in the packages? Rohit, I think I showed you CRUD operations using REST, didn't I? I think we already have seen a Python example, the Flask example where we're doing it, right? If you want to hide that using init.py, yes, we can. You just auto import your package, auto import your classes, and that can hide the code from your end user. Okay. I'll do one thing. Anyways, I'm going to write this application for my other batches as well. Once it is done, I'll share that code on your group as well. So probably you can see how it can be done. It was using a web application. Yes, actually web application was the front end, but behind the scene it was using a Flask REST APIs, if you can recall. Nevertheless, anyways, I'm going to create a new application for my other courses. So I'm going to share that code as well with you. I think I shared the last batch's code. I'll show you once we are done with the other one. I'll share you that code as well. So probably if you want to get some more examples on it, you definitely will find in there. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I think let's take a look at the next part. That's a regular expression. It's a very simple part, provided you know what exactly a regular expression means. Why has it started 2 once? I mean, I'm not sure about that. It shouldn't have. Oh, last time I started with the Selenium. That's the reason why it has created 2 different icons on my dog bar. That's why I was wondering, like, why was it showing 2 icons there, you know? It's okay. So now I can see only 1 icon. That means it was the last time I did not close my browser in Selenium. That's the reason why it was showing me 2 different icons. But anyways, now we are here. I'm going to talk about the RE. RE stands for regular expression. Again, this is a completely different part. Regular expression. Just search for regular expressions. Not this one actually. W3 School is one of the worst websites I've ever seen. This is regular expression. That's what I'm looking for. Not the regular expression is Python. Regular expressions are those expressions with which we can find some information buried in a textual data. For example, regular expressions can be used to search, to compile, or to match the information you are looking for. Let's say you are having some text and you are looking for some words in the text. That can be done, or that can be found, or that can be matched by using regular expression here. So probably it's very simple. I'll show you an example of it. You will see how simple is that. Those who know regular expressions, for them, it's a piece of cake. So I'm going to start with the function 1. And in this case, I'm going to have a text, let's say str. The str says, this is a sample text. Sample text. Okay. So this is the very simple text here. Now what I want to do here is, I want to check if the sample word is present inside it. Very simple example. So if I want to do this, probably I may come back here and say, hey, I want to do it by using something like a regular expression. So probably I can come back here and say import. There is a package called as RE. RE stands for regular expression. So probably you can say, give me the output, or give me something like the found location. Maybe I'll say the result, which I can easily see re dot search. What you are searching for? I'm searching for something which is having the word sample in it. So this is the sample word. I'm going to find it inside str. So probably what it is going to do here, it is going to use a simple regular expression which contains only a sample word in it, and it is going to match with this particular str. And if it is available, it is going to tell me that yes, it is there. If it is not, then it is going to tell me the sample word isn't there. Very simple example. So if the result, if result is available, then I'm going to say print sample word found in str, and else no otherwise. So probably I'll say no, sample word not found in str. Very, very simple example. See this. When I come back and say run, probably it will say that the sample word found in the str, because I see that the sample word is there. But if I say samples L is missing, so E is missing, for example, in this case, that means we're not able to find the exact word there, sample. So probably it says, no, sample word is not found inside this particular str. So when you talk about the RE, what you write here is called as a regular expression, and the regular expression is the one which is going to tell me whether this particular pattern is available or not. Regular expression is something called as a pattern matching technique. Let's see one more example of it, a quick example of it. Let me come back here and say, in this case, I have a password. Let's say the password seems like something like a test 1 2 3 4. Now you must have seen the password generally has too many different restrictions. Like a password should have a kind of uppercase or maybe lowercase character, or it should have at least one symbol, or it should have something like one maybe a numeric character or digit there, something like this. So these are the conditions I want to check and see if the password has all these conditions met. So how do we do this then? To do this, I'm going to check this. I'll say password, or maybe valid password. Is valid password. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check if the password is valid. So by default, I'll say, no, this is not a valid password. I'll mark this, I'll say this is the true, this is the valid password, but I'll just check that if different things are there, then we'll say the valid password is valid. If not, then we'll say the password is not valid, okay? What are the different conditions I'm going to check? I'm going to check for uppercase, maybe check for lowercase. These things should be there. Maybe at least one digit, and at least one special character. So this is what I want to check. If all these criteria met, then I will say password is valid. Otherwise, I'll say password is invalid. So I'll say is valid password. Then we'll just come back here and say print valid password, for example, else invalid password, otherwise, So that's how we are going to do it, invalid password. So let's call this function and see one by one. How do I check if the uppercase character is there or not? To check this, I'm going to say if, again, re.search. Now, maybe we can say re.search or re.match. Both of them are okay. So maybe we can say match. Match will just tell me whether it matches with that or not. Search means it is going to give me the location of it, but match is going to tell me whether it is matching that pattern or not. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for at least one uppercase. Now, in regular expression, if you want to search for one uppercase letters are A to Z. So I'm saying try to see if there is one letter from A to Z range is there inside my password. So that's what I'm checking here. If it is available, then I can say is a valid password is equals to true, or if it is not available, if it is not available, maybe we'll say is equals to, or maybe we'll first check this, print if it is available. And if it is not available, then we can take a different decision, like what to add there inside the if or else. So maybe I'll say is uppercase letter present. Okay, so is it present there? I don't know, we'll check this here. So this is how we will check that. Maybe we'll put this later. And we'll try to do this in one by one step or step by step fashion. So it seems like we do not have any uppercase letter here. So when I say run, probably it says that is uppercase letter present? No, there is no uppercase letter. But let's say this is the password where I used a capital T, then it will tell me, yes, there is a uppercase letter and it has given me an object of that regular expression. Whether it is giving me an object or whether it is giving me anything, I don't care about that. But what do I care? I care about this is not none, because if it is none, then that means the uppercase letter is not found. If I look at this object, the object is telling me it has found one T letter, which is uppercase letter at the 0th location. So that's what it is telling me. So match is equals to T. T means that's a first character, which is uppercase character there. So it has found one upper character there. Okay. Let us see if the lowercase letters are there. Now exactly same case here, all we have to say here is small a to small z. So do we have any of the lowercase characters? We do have, right? So do we have anything there? re.match a to z. Let's see whether we are having it. Is lowercase character. Isn't there any lowercase character here? Are you kidding me? Let's check this. Capital A to capital Z. Oh, that is looking for a character which is starting with this first one. So I need to find at least one character. So at least one means we should go for maybe adding a different criteria. Like there is a plus means one or more, question mark means one or zero, and star means zero or more. So I'm saying, do we have at least one character in this one? So I hope there is one. I hope there is one, at least one, single, at least one lowercase character. So probably it is telling me the uppercase character T is present. The lowercase character small te, actually we have this est, it is not present. It's just because we are having it in between. Now when I say it is in between, I can say there is any character here. I do not care about the character here. It can be any word or any digit or any character. Maybe I can say star for any of the characters, A to Z, capital A to capital Z, maybe 0 to 9, and we can just give the different ranges here. So depending again on what exactly the criteria you are looking for, small a to small z. So this is for lowercase, this is for uppercase, this is for digit, and star means we are having multiple characters. Then we are having at least one uppercase character there in between, so on and so forth. So basically we are looking for whether we are having uppercase, lowercase, or a digit character, and so on and so forth. Let me just add this one here. I'll search for 0 and 9, or maybe I'll go for a special character in between these two. Maybe underscore, at the rate, exclamation marks, hash, dollar, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I'm just looking for whether we are having some special characters here or not. Let's put this one and see whether we are getting some characters here. Let's put this one in comment for a minute, and let's see whether we can find at least one special characters. We do not have any special characters right now. Let us add a special character, test star 1, 2, 3, 4 in between. So let us see whether we can find one. Okay, it is still saying none, which means we'll have to find out in between. In between, we'll have to find, we'll see whether we are having some characters in between this. It can start with anything, I don't care, but in between, if it is having a special character, in this case, I found a star. You see, there is a star here, which means I found a special character here. And if I find a special character, that means it is a valid. If I do not have any special character in between this, it will tell me, hey, there is no special character. I copy pasted that. Is a special character, special case later? No, is a special character present. And yes, I can do it in this way. Or maybe this is for digit, sorry. If is a digit present and is a special character present. So basically here we are checking whether the special character is there or not. And you decide what exactly the set of characters or the valid characters you want to go for. I'm looking for one of these characters there. So if it is there, at least one of this is there, then probably it is going to mark my password as a valid password. So I can check if the uppercase letter is there, or if the lowercase letter is there, or if the digit is there. And guess what? It's very simple. All we have to do here is whether, if you can write the regular expression, then you can use that regular expression and match it against your string, against your data, to see whether it is following the pattern or not. In my case, now it is started following because I just added one special character. It can be anything. It can be a dollar, it can be star, it can be anything. You see, I found that right here. This is the way we can do it. You can also use match, or you can also use a search in order to get the pattern out of that string. So that's the simplest way you can use the array. By the way, if you just want to go for different arrays, there are many different occasions where you can go for pattern matching. For example, if I want to say a regular expression for email, you will find whether the email is valid or not. You see, this is the JavaScript example. So where we are getting the email, so probably someone must have given that. Here it is. This is a regular expression for checking if your email is a valid email or not. See, this is a regular expression. Just put that and see whether the email is valid. There are many different scenarios where you can use a regular expressions for validating your data. For, let's say, phone number. Which phone number? Maybe the US phone number, or maybe Indian phone number, and so on and so forth. So every country has a different way to represent it. See, this is the way we can find out a US number, something like plus maybe the US code number, or maybe country code number, and then this is the actual US format. So this is the way we can, verify the this is where we can verify the phone number is valid or not by using a regular expression like this. So there are many regular expressions. You just go back and try to find it. So again, if you can write your regular expressions, you can use it you can use it to validate any type of data. Again, so you are asking this, how to use it for IP address? Search for it, regular expression for IP address. I mean, if you sit and if you try to do it yourself, you definitely can do it yourself, but there are ready-made examples already available there. So probably 0255, this is the one. For example, this dot this dot this dot this. This will give you an example of IP address. So probably if you use this IP address, you can definitely find it. Oh, he already has given an example of Python itself. Is it? Yeah, it is. So see, it is trying to use that regular expression and try to see if the IP address is available or not. So probably whatever you want to validate the data for, you just need to write the regular expressions for it, and then you can use the same example again, like match or search, and then you will get what exactly you are looking for. Those who know regular expressions, for them, this is the package RE, and the RE package stands for regular expression, can be used for matching your data against the regular expression. That's it. That's the way you can do it. Okay, so maybe there are n number of packages out there. We are using, or we are just scratching the surface here. There are many others, you know. Okay, so those who are knowing the regular expressions, for them, RE is the package. Now let's look at the generator. Someone requested that. I wanted to drop it, but anyways, someone requested that, so I'll give you an example of it. See if you can understand. This is page 7, where we want to write a generator. By the way, if I want to talk about generator, first let me ask you the question. Do you remember something called as the iterator? I think I showed you an example of employees. I'm sorry, company having employees, I guess. I don't remember. I think it was company having employees, or maybe a school having students, something like that. I don't remember, but whatever was the example, I hope you can recall. In employees, okay. So company having employees, right? Exactly, like a loop. It's like a loop. Absolutely right. So probably, if you can recall, let me just quickly go back here. We still need 10-15 minutes. So if you are willing to go out, that's fine, but we still need 10-15 minutes, 10-15 more minutes, okay? So let us see. This is an example where we want to generate a generator, or we want to we want to create a generator. Now, what is a generator? A generator is the way you can create the iterator or implement the iterator without writing a class. See, ultimately, if you can recall the example of that company, I'm not going to repeat it, but I'm just telling you that this is what we have done. So example is, I'm sorry, let's say pass. The example is this. Generally, when we create a company, we can add multiple employees in it. And then we can say, let's say company 1, or simply company is equals to company. And then we can keep on adding the employees. And if I really want to run a for loop on this, for employee in company, and then we can, print the employee. This is what we generally can do here. I mean, if you want to do this, then probably you have to go back, company, sorry. If you want to do this, you will have to implement those two methods. One is underscore iter method, underscore, what the hell, fine. So def underscore iter . And from there, you have to return one of the iterator object. Maybe we can say self. And then we have to implement another method called as a next. And then you will have to return something there. So maybe I'm just returning 0 for now. But this is how we have to do it. And again, maybe we'll have to implement a kind of a internal index property, which is going to check what is the upper bound. And if the upper bound hits, then we have to raise an exception called as a stop iteration. This is something we have seen last time, if you can recall it. This is okay, and this is possible only when you are writing that in a class. I mean, if you want to override this method, iter and next, then you will have to write a class, and then and only then it is possible for you to do it. Now, what if I want to do something similar, but I do not have any class? Most of the times this is required when you are writing the code in a function, maybe in a POP way. So if you want to do it in the POP way and still want to achieve something like generating that iter and the next implementation, then probably generator is going to help you there. So how the generator works? See if you can understand. Everything is going to be done internally. You'll not be able to see anything. That's the reason sometimes it becomes really complex to understand how it is doing the job. But everything is going to get done internally. So probably the example here is, let's try creating simple even numbers. See and try to understand this. This is the function where I want to generate even number. Okay. So probably I want to generate even numbers starting from maybe or up to, let's say, 20. So I want to generate first 20 integer numbers, 20 even numbers. Very simple. I'll say this is going to be an index which is 0, or maybe the start is equals to 0, whatever you can say. Print this number start, and then we can say start plus equals to 2 till, maybe I'll say while start is equals to 0. I'll maybe, okay, fine. So while, let's say, start is less than, let's say 20, or less than or equals to 20, I want to do this, print start and then start plus equals to 2. So what am I doing here? I'm trying to generate first 20 numbers. So first 20 even numbers. Sorry. What the hell? Just go away. So I want to generate first 20 even numbers. So let's go back here and say generate those even numbers. Now when I say generate even numbers, I see that the even numbers are generated 2, 0, 4, 8, 10, and again 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. That's fine. It's working. One thing I noticed here is like all the numbers are generated at the same time. It's just because we are running a while loop here. Now please notice it. When you call this function, the function gets called. The function is running a while loop within it, and then till the while loop exits, it is going to execute those statements, and whatever the statements are giving you the output is going to get printed on the console. That's the reason why we are getting all the even numbers in one shot. When you talk about a iterator or something like a next, we generally do that so that we can get an iterator out of it and we can pass it on to the next function. So most of the times we do it something like this. Iterator is equals to, we call iter function and pass something here, and then we call, let's say, next function by passing iterator to get the next value. So this is generally what we do in order to use that iterator and the next function. In this case, I'm able to get all the even numbers at the same time because I'm running the while loop here. So what I'm going to do now is, instead of printing this start here, I'm going to yield a number here. So I'm going to say yield start. Now please pay attention. Before I have that yield, I'm not having anything here. I'm going to say this is a simple function. I'm going to call this function and get the return value of it. I'm not returning anything, by the way, but still I'm going to say return a value. Let's say result is equals to generate even number. You know, we are not returning anything. That means it's going to be kind of none. So maybe I'll say result is equals to result. There is nothing here. When I say run my code, I'll say result is equals to none, meaning I'm not getting anything out of that function, and just because I have not returned anything. But still, you see, the result is equals to none. If I say a return, return say 20, for example, or 10, for example, it is going to give me the result is equals to 10. So you have noticed that whenever we are having a return keyword, then it is going to return that value and will give me the actual return value there. This time I'm not using a return keyword, but I'm using a yield keyword. Let's see what happens now. Watch what happens here. So when I say yield, instead of giving me a kind of instead of returning something like a number or anything, it returns an object of a generator. So whenever you use this keyword called as a yield, it creates a generator behind the scene, and then it creates an object of that generator, which is going to call that function generate even number, the one which I mentioned here. And then whenever I need it, I can get the next number out of this here. What is this? This is not the result. This is not, we are going to get a value like 2 or 3 or 0 or 5, whatever it is. So we are not going to get the value here. Instead, we are going to get an object of a generator. Generator is the way we are creating iterator implementation without having a class. This iterator implementation is given by Python. It's given by that function, generator function. So this is the one which is going to give me the same iterator implementation without having a class. But how do I use it? You know, you can use it directly. Just consider that it's an iterator and do it by saying, do it by passing it to the next function. It's better we can just pass it here and say print, let's say the next value, which is equals to a next, and say the result. Now, when I say next result, did you notice something? I got the next result as a 2. Okay, so what exactly is the value here is getting returned from this statement, and this statement will get executed only when you pass it to the next. Let's do one more time. Let's pass this next one more time and see whether we get the next value. Maybe if I run this code, next time when I call next, I got 4. Next time when I call next, I'll get 6. Next time when I call next, I'll get 8, and so on and so forth till 20th. Means hopefully if you can just pay attention, if I just copy this multiple times, if you say run probably you can get all of them, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, blah, 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 up to 20. And let me do it one more time. Actually, there is nothing at this time. And probably you can see that nothing happens because it knows there is nothing to return. There is nothing to return here. And that's the reason it's kind of returning the value stop iteration. I hope you remember the stop iteration earlier. This is exactly same implementation we have implemented last time in our company and employee example. So whenever we were kind of reaching towards the end of that list, we were raising an exception of stop iteration. Every single thing what we have implemented last time in a class is kind of automatically implemented by using the generator internally. You can't see that. That's the problem I said. So sometimes it becomes a little bit confusing what is happening here. To be again honest, what it does here is whenever you use the yield keyword, instead of returning anything here, it returns a generator object. The generator object is going to generate the value and it is going to return the value whenever you pass the generator object to the next function. Next function is something we have discussed earlier. So this next function will call the generator to get the value of it. Whatever value you yield, this is called as a yield, whatever value you yield, that value will be given to you as a return value of that next. This is possible only when you use the keyword yield. So yield is the way we are kind of doing the job here. So yield is the way we are kind of yielding the value here. So whatever you yield here, that value will be returned next time when you call that function next. How many times you want to return? It's up to you. Whenever you are doing something like this, it is going to give you the values till this particular condition exits. If I say true, that means it is going to give you these values continuously. It's kind of a never-ending loop. Means it's kind of infinite loop. And whenever you call this function, you always will get the next even number. So this is the way we can do it. A very, very simple example, and probably you can understand, hopefully, that how the generator works. Generator executes the code till 4 and it stops there. When you call next, only at that time it returns the value, and again it just executes till this line. That's it. It doesn't do anything after that. When you call next, then only it executes the line, it returns the next, and again it just stops here. It doesn't do anything. When you call next, after that it starts its execution, and it does that till your while loop ends here. That's kind of a generator. Looking at the code, it's really simple, but if you pay attention to what happens behind the scene, it's a little bit complicated, because generator is an implementation of iterator and the next, or iter method and the next method, without having a class. I mean, if you are having a class, it's in your control. You can implement it in a way, whichever way you want to implement it with. But in this case, these two methods are implemented behind the scene, and that's the reason why we can call that next function and pass the generator object here. Generator is an iterator which has underscore iter and underscore next implementation on its own. That's what you mean by a generator. Now this is the third if you can recall. So we already have seen decorator last time. This is a generator, and something is missing. What is the use case of generator? Whenever you are looking for implementing functionalities like this, for example, whenever we want to yield some values based on certain criteria, or if you want to put that in a kind of a for loop, for example, you can generally go for a generator. Generator is a little bit advanced concept. It's not used very frequently, but if you want to write the code intelligently, you might go for a generator example. Like what I said earlier, in case of something like a iterator and generator, both of them are not frequently used in regular life. I mean, only when you are having a special occasions, then and only then you need them. That's the reason generally these are considered as advanced topics. So otherwise, decorator is used everywhere. So decorator, iterator, and generator, those are three Rs. We already have seen decorator earlier. Iterator and generator, both of them are related to each other, and both of them are used only when you want to put that collection in a for loop. When you are having a class, then you go for iterator. When you don't have a class, when you have a function like this, you will go for a kind of a generator, and generator will be implemented automatically. It's simply, you have to use a keyword called as a yield. Yield keyword will write the generator for you. It's very it's very rare to use that generator in the real life, but still, that can be done by using that yield keyword. That's a reason why I wanted to skip that, or I didn't want to discuss that, but it's okay. Now you know how it can be done. It's a yield keyword. The implementation or execution is a little bit different. Jagrat, I guess from each value we have to, if you want to do the different operation, it depends on you what you want to do there. It all will be decided with your implementation or your logic, but more or less it is going to execute this particular line only when you pass that object to next. If you don't do anything, you see, it never will yield anything. It will never do anything. Only when, I mean, even if you print a result, it will do nothing. Only when you pass it to next, it is going to give you the actual value that you tried to yield on line number 5. Okay, so this is used only when you are going to pass that object to the next value. That's it. Okay, I don't know whether you got this idea or not, but still, if those people who have already understood the meaning and implementation of iterator and the next function last time, probably there is a chance that you can get how generator is working behind the scene. Yeah, that means you already have got that implementation last time, Jagrat. Good. Okay, so that's a yield function that that's a yield keyword that is going to create a generator on behalf of you. Just remember, generator is a kind of an object which is implementing iter and the next method internal. That's it. Fine. I think it's more than sufficient to talk about the generator here. Okay, now there is a NLTK and there is a PVM architecture. Now PVM architecture, I'm going to post the notes maybe a little bit later today, or maybe in the next week. But there you will find the same thing which I talked about earlier in a particular notes format. Now, what is NLTK? Again, I don't know why I mentioned that earlier, but NLTK, it is the one which is used for NLP. Now, what is NLP? NLP stands for Natural Language Processing. Natural language processing is the way where those smart assistants like Siri, like maybe something like Alexa, or maybe something like Cortana on Windows, or maybe something like your Google Assistants. Those smart assistants really understand what you want to talk or what you want to ask, and then they will reply back with the response. For example, if I use Siri here and see, it tells me the current temperature today. One more time. See, it understands what you mean by umbrella, and it understands like, oh, today's temperature 28. It seems like we don't have to carry any umbrella. So maybe it understands what I see. I mean, though I'm just speaking like I'm talking to my another friend, still it understands the context behind what I'm trying to ask, and it gives me the response back. How is it possible? It is possible because the Siri or maybe the digital assistants or the smart assistants, they understand the context by processing what you speak. What you speak is generally called as a natural language, and natural language, if you are processing it, that processed natural language context will be used in those smart assistants, and they will return the response back. This is purely a machine learning concept. I mean, there is hardly I can show you here other than just installing a package. So if you really want to go back and install this package, you can just go back here and say Python NLTK. It's a really big package. It goes around in few GBs. There are many different sub packages there, and unless you have them there, you will not be able to do that. So the base package is simple. You can just simply go back and use that NLTK. But once it gets installed, I mean, so sudo pip3 install NLTK, but that's okay. But once it gets downloaded, the base package gets downloaded, we'll have to go for import NLTK, NLTK.download. You will get a window like this, where we have to start downloading the other stuff, like all packages, required packages for that, or corpora for doing the natural language processing and stuff like that. So there are many different things here which are kind of machine learning specific. So I'm just giving you a heads up here. Those who are interested in the NLP, they can start using, or they can start looking for the ML, machine learning concept, because unless you have the machine learning concept, you can't understand what is required here. The only thing which we can do here is we can tokenize the data, we can convert this data into simple words by using this NLTK. I mean, if you really want to see a quick example without understanding the context of it, I still can show you that. We can say import NLTK directly, and then we can start doing the stuff like this. For example, let me just grab that here, or maybe do we have any sample text? Very good. So probably, okay, this is a kind of information. Fine, that's okay. Maybe I can get this one. This is just a simple text. Maybe I can say this is the text, not test, it's a text. So this text is multi-line. So maybe I can just grab this and say, what can I do with it? So if I really want to process this natural text, or if I want to do something with it, then we'll have to convert this into in numerical format. To convert that into numerical format, we have to literally split it into different words, and different words will get converted into bag of words. So looking at the bag of words, you will understand whether you are asking question A or question B. So that understanding, that classification will be done by machine learning. But if you are doing it here, then probably you can go for NLTK. And of course, there is a sent tokenizer, send tokenize, that is going to convert this entire text into different different sentences, for example. So sentences means it's going to split that into different statements wherever it finds a dot. So probably if I just go back and just print the sentences here, it's going to give me all the sentences which it has found inside this one. It seems like this is only one single text. You can see that here. This is where it starts, this is where it ends, this is where it starts, this is where it ends, this is where it starts, this is where it ends. So probably if I just go back and say for sentence in sentences, and if I try to print a sentence at a time, probably you can see that we are getting different sentences. Different sentences means different statements. Wherever it finds the dot, it considers this as a sentence. So it is converting your entire information into sentence, and now each sentence we can convert into different words. So maybe I can say words, which is equals to NLTK dot word tokenize, and then I can pass the sentence here. So words will give me different words inside that sentence, and then probably I can say for word in words, I can print that each word separately. So if I just go back here, I can see that. See, every single word I'm kind of separating from my information there, and then I will understand like what is the meaning of this word, what is the meaning of this word, what is the meaning of this word, then what is the meaning of this statement, and then what is the meaning of this paragraph, and then I will literally use the context to answer the question. So this is how the smart assistant work. I mean, I'm just scratching a surface here. I'm just giving you a kind of a very, let's say 20,000 foot overview of it. So this is a kind of a natural language processing technique to understand the meaning of the entire text here, or to understand the meaning of that entire paragraph. We have to split that paragraph into sentences, split that every sentence into number of words, and then understand the meaning of word. This is exactly how a child starts learning. So if you ask child, maybe child will not be able to, or any kid will not be able to understand the meaning of it. But if you start giving him a single word, or first time if you want that kid to learn, then kid will start learning a single character, then multiple characters joining together, the kid will start learning how to pronounce the word, then he will understand the meaning of that word. Then multiple words coming together, he will understand the meaning of a statement, and multiple statements coming together, then he will start understanding the paragraph. Multiple paragraphs coming together, he will understand a kind of entire, maybe an essay, or maybe a page of a book, and multiple pages will constitute number of books, and so on and so forth. So basically every single thing comes down to only one thing, that is a word. So basically that's what we are doing here. Whatever the information we are getting here, we are splitting that into sentences, and the sentences are getting split into word, and then we'll remove some words which are not required. We will replace some words which are not having any meaning, and stuff like that. So there are many different options available here. There is a stemming part, there is a stop words part, there are many different things available here, which is a part of machine learning. Anyways, so I'm just giving you a kind of heads up, like NLTK is used for NLP, it's natural language processing, which is used for processing the way we speak and understand the context out of it, which will be used, I mean, that context will be used to answer a few questions based on your learning. So probably you might have heard about chatbot. So chatbot works on the similar fashion. Maybe the smart assistants work on the similar fashion. There are many different occasions where we want to understand what exactly the meaning of the context, the way you talk to that assistant, there NLP is required. Not only that, you might have seen these days maybe the Gmail service or maybe your email services can understand whether the email, the incoming email, whether it is a spam or ham. This can be again understood by using the context of that email. This is again an ML classification example which requires NLP. For example, you are having a turn of restaurants reviews, and if you want to understand whether whether that restaurant is good or bad, you can understand the meaning of every single review and then say if the review is good, if the review is bad. You can count number of good reviews versus number of bad reviews, and then you can decide whether this restaurant is good or bad. Again, you need something like a NLP, because when I add a review about a restaurant, I will type as I speak. So that way we have to first understand the meaning of it, and then we'll have to go for getting the understanding that whether it is a good or bad. So many occasions where the NLP is required, and if you want to do that NLP in Python, this is one of the packages. This is not the only, this is one of the packages. There is another one. There is something called as a PyTorch, not PyTorch. There are some other there are other packages. I'm not able to recall right now, but there are other packages. NLTK is the one which is mostly famous, and this is a kind of free and open source. That's the reason why generally people use NLTK for doing this job. But anyways, there are different packages out there. So this is a kind of introduction to this. That's what I said. It's not possible for us to completely talk about NLTK because that's only thing which we can do in Python. Rest is ML. And unless you understand the ML, unless you understand the model building process, and unless you understand the bag of words algorithm, you will not be able to do anything there. So to reach to that level, we have to start doing the stuff using NLTK. This is how we can do it. Anyways, I think this is the quick introduction to NLTK, and I think that's more than sufficient for introduction level. That's it. Okay, so now a couple of things from my side. This is something which I mentioned. I'm going to share some architectural notes. Second thing, maybe not in this week, I mean, not today or tomorrow, but later, maybe in the next or maximum by 15th or 16th, I'm going to share, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to share two things with you. One is the matplotlib, whoever is interested in that again, matplotlib, and one more I'm working on right now. That's the Flask. Maybe the real implementation. So the Flask implementation, or you can say the Flask web services. I'm working on both of them. These are the video series. I'm going to, I'm working on them right now. So video series, you will find them. I'll share the link with both of them. So those who are interested, you can go ahead and you can start looking at this. Okay. So that's how it is. Any book for website or ML? Yes, there are many actually, depending again where you are, from where you are coming. There are many websites here. If you just search for ML in Python, you will see a very nice book of ML and Python itself. So ML using Python. The one, just give me a sec. Where can I find that? Yeah, just a second. Let me see. I'm not able to recall the book title and the book author because there are many books I referred earlier. One of the books which I like, can I find it here? Here it is. Using PyTorch. I mean, this is the nice book if you want to go for. It's not only the machine learning, it also covers the PyTorch and other thing, deep learning as well. This is the one I'm talking about. So this book is one of the best books I've ever seen. This is where you can learn not only the machine level, high level implementation, but also you can learn the PyTorch. Another good book which I like is this one, Machine Learning Using Scikit, Keras, and TensorFlow. Both of them are deep learning, both of them are advanced parts, but they already have explained basic machine learning algorithms in a great simplified language. So if you are interested, you can learn both of them. I read this one and I was reading this, but somehow I could not complete that yet. So maybe when I finish it, then I can tell you my review. I finished this one, so I know this is one of the best books I have seen so far. So this is one. When you talk about the machine learning, there are many different books coming from many different perspectives, like machine learning for Statistics is different. Machine learning for mathematics, machine learning is different. Machine learning Python is different. Machine learning NLTK is different. Machine learning PyTorch is different. Machine learning SciPy is different. So there are different approaches. There are different books available. So I think not a single book is going to be a kind of complete. It's not going to give you the complete understanding of it. You have to just get something from one book, some other things from the other book, and that's how it goes. Okay. Vijay, we want to learn the Linux and web Python as early as possible. Yes, we are working on that. Today, tomorrow is our last session for the Linux batch we started last time. So we already have started the Linux batch just before starting the AWS. So probably when we started Python on the same day, on the next day, we started with the Linux for RHCSA course, and tomorrow is the last day. We are going to finish that. So probably once we are done with that, we'll see when we can launch that Linux certification again. That is for certification preparation, RHCSA preparation. That's for Red Hat Certified System Administrator preparation. Okay. Any certification test for Python? Yes, Python has a certification, but I know for sure this is not a very kind of renowned one. So there is one Python certification from Python Institute, but it's not having any impact. So that's what I said earlier as well. Python is a language. Learning Python will give you nothing. What requires to succeed in your career is the package, because unless you have a package, only Python will not help you. If you want to go and use Python in ML, then we'll have to understand different packages out there. If you want to use Python in testing, you have to know package Selenium there. If you want to go for web scraping, you have to know package Selenium there. So Python, it's like a toy without a battery. So unless you put the battery, toy will not work. So similarly, unless you use those packages, nothing is going to work. So even if you have the certification, it's just it just gives you a confidence like, okay, you got the Python, but unless you know the packages, you will not get any career opportunities there. Okay. No one will ask for a Python developer. I mean, if you just look for the Python openings, then there will be an opening like, we need a Python developer for machine learning. We need a Python developer for image processing. We need a Python developer for something. No one is going to say that we need a Python developer, because it's too generic and it's too opaque. So probably what you need to look for is a different packages, not the certification for ML. And to be very precise, having a certification for a language, it's not going to be very sufficient, because a language, it's okay, but unless you have the implementation of it somewhere, that language will not be fruitful. But of course, if you want to go for it, I think it's $150 certification, and there is a good thing. They already have given an offer, something like if you have completed their course, it's just a textual course, just complete. Whatever we have seen, it's more than what they are looking for the certification here. Entry level and associate, both of them we already have covered. I already have read the syllabus there. So probably if you just go back there, you can easily pass both of the certifications there. Just go back and try to give the certifications. It's 150 each, I guess. So probably there is an offer going on. Last time someone asked that, so I checked it. So if you can just go for that offer, you will get a 50% off. So probably this is certification for you. Okay. Utpal, this is a certification for you. But again, if you ask me, it's not that much is recommended. Okay, otherwise, okay, next one, who's that? Adesh, is like regex use Unicode for comparison? It uses pattern matching for comparison. It can be Unicode, it can be a simple character depending on the language, because Unicode is a language dependent, not the regex dependence. Okay. Preeti, yes, ML course, we are coming to that point. We are still again working on the dates and other things. So we'll see when we finalize, we definitely will let you know. Okay. So whenever we finalize the date, you will get the flyer on your WhatsApp group. And if you want to join, you can. Just before Python, we have finished the ML course last time. So we finished Python, we finished Python, we finished the ML, then we started the new Python and the Linux together. So after that, it will be a kind of a Linux and ML will start together, but we'll definitely let you know. Snehal, could you please give us some assignments for some small projects if possible? Sure. I think you got the 4th assignment, right? So you will get 1 or 2 more assignments today, or maybe max tomorrow. Okay. So that is for sure. Vipin, if I want to go for IoT, what's the next step after this course? IoT is a completely different career. Python is used in IoT things, but IoT itself will require you to have a domain knowledge. I mean, IoT stands for Internet of Things, and where we have to connect different parts of the world together. For example, I don't have the circuit right now, but generally what you do there is like, you collect different information from different sensors and you process them on the server side by using Python. When you want to get the information from different sensors, then there we have to write the sensor specific code. Sometimes it is an embedded code, sometimes it is a mobile application like Android or iPhone where we want to display the information. But in all, when you get the information from different sensors, to process them, we generally use Python on the server side. So we generally use a Flask, we generally use a Python, we use MQTT and other different protocols out there, and then we process the data on the other side. So if you want to go for IoT, you first have to get the domain knowledge. That's the first thing that is required. So only knowing Python will not help you. You have to get the domain knowledge, and then you will have to use the Python REST services in IoT in order to get the data from different sensors. Pranit, want to learn the web services, REST APIs and implementation in Django, Flask. What should be the best path? Whatever we have started last time, Flask, continue using that. Django is a separate framework. You have to know web development first. So if you want to learn Django, first learn HTML, CSS, basic JavaScript and the JavaScript implementation, and then go for Django, or it's pronounced as a Django. So unless you know HTML and CSS, there is no point going with the Django. Okay, Django is a combination of HTML, CSS, little bit of JavaScript and Python together. Not little bit, many of the times you need a JavaScript as well. So that's the reason, first learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then go for Django. It will make your life easier. Prashant, how can I use the Python skills in Linux administration? When you are going for Linux administration, there are many times you will need something like a scripting. For example, if I want to create, let's say 100 users, let's say I'm running a company, I'm an administrator in a company, and if I want to create, let's say 100 users, maybe 100 different employees are joining my company, and probably if I want to create 100 different users, then it becomes very much impossible for me to sit on a machine and create those 100 users manually. You can write a script, maybe it can be a bash script or a shell script, it can be a Python script, it can be a Perl script, it can be a Ruby script, whichever language you want to go for. There, maybe a Python can be used to write a script like this, and then probably you can get the job done automatically or by executing your program. So that's where the Python comes into picture in the Linux category. So there, administration point of view, you have to go for different scripting. So Python scripting is one of the scriptings inside Linux. There is a Linux Python scripting, Perl scripting, and Bash scripting. These are three different kind of scriptings which are frequently used there. Okay. Yes, no problem. Thank you, Utpal. Not a big deal. Any course for Angular and web development? Yes, that is again in process. The only problem is the timing. So we are just matching the timing, and then we are going to launch 2 more courses. One is mean and more. One for Angular, one for React. Okay, so that is coming, Shrikant. Rajesh, recommend further path for career in the big data or data science. Big data and for data science, both of them are a little bit different career options you are thinking about. Big data is where we want to, you want to go for data analysis, data processing. Data science is a kind of, so big chunk. So there are many different opportunities. You can go for a Python as a data engineer, or maybe a kind of a data scientist, depending on what is your background, or ML developer. There are different opportunities there. In big data, there are different opportunities from different type of databases like HBase, Redis, and so on and so forth, or Spark and other things there. Python is one of the default languages in the big data as well. Adesh, which packages are the field of embedded? No, I can't just tell you that because it depends on the context. Okay, you can't just directly look for a generic package. It depends on what exactly you want to achieve. Like if I want to go for, let's say, web scraping, Scrapy is another package, or Selenium, the one which you have seen earlier. That's a kind of a package you can refer. So unless you know what exactly you are going to do, you can't decide the package. Okay. Snehal, yes, not a big deal. It's my pleasure that you like it. Prayanshu, it was a fun. That's great. Mobile testing, Selenium or APM. See, when you're talking about a mobile testing, most of the time people we use, like I use APM for mobile UI testing. Selenium is used for website or UI testing in the website world, not in the mobile. So mobile is having its own technology, you can say. So you can't directly use a Selenium there. You can't use a browser there. That's what I said. Browser-based applications can be tested by using Selenium. If you are using a native applications, then APM is the best option for you. Okay, hi Shaf, what about Java course? Java course, you can look at the Sunbeam info. There is one already going on. So probably if you want, you can reach out to Sandeep sir. He's the person who conducts the Java courses, okay? Okay, I think, yes, I think it's better we can, yes, thank you very much. I think better we can call it a day. It's already late. I know you people have some other works as well. Not a big deal, but Okay, now listen to me very carefully. Monday, you are going to get your certificates. We are going to schedule a feedback on Monday itself. Monday morning 7, it will be available. When you fill the feedback, I would request you to fill feedback, be honest, so that we can learn from our own mistakes. If you already have not liked something, or if you want us to improve somewhere, so please suggest us so that we can, provide better service to the next batches. Okay, so please fill the feedback. The moment you fill the feedback, you definitely will get the certificate automatically generated on your email. So probably on Monday or Tuesday, whenever you get the time, we are going to make it available for throughout the week. There will be a question, there will be a quiz as well on the same day. Monday, you are going to start getting the quiz there. It's not for it's not for the certificate. It's for the it's for your practice. Okay, so there'll be, yes, thanks for Sujata madam for leaving, mentioning this here. There'll be a quiz as well on Monday, and probably on Monday you will see the feedback. Please fill the feedback so that you're going to get a certificate. Okay, so thank you very much again for staying with me pretty late. I know it's 50 people. There were 200 in the beginning. Now there are only 50 left. So that's okay. I really appreciate that you attended this course. Thank you for your journey, and probably you must have learned something here. Okay. Thank you very much one more time. And thanks. Appreciate your patience as well. Anyways, if you need anything, you can always contact me on WhatsApp. I'll be anyways available there. So bye bye, have a good day, have a great day ahead, and probably I wish you get succeed in your life. Thank you very much. Bye bye.